Hi, everybody. You're now experiencing the Gretna Bill Show.
Unmute. You got me now? That's a miracle. Hey, as the Stooges say a few syllables.
It's a Festivus miracle.
Yeah.
So now all we have to do is get Chessie on board here.
Jesse. Ja. Jesse sprechen Sie Deutsch.
Ja, man.
Jesse.
Chessie.
See, now you just, yeah, man. Now you're combining like Jamaican with like Dutch. I never heard that done before. Hold on.
Yeah, I know. They all think that I talk funny in Jamaican.
Yeah, man. Jamaican paired with Pennsylvania Dutch. I love it.
Man, you talk pretty fun.
I go down there every February and ride gravel bike. Well, I used to ride mountain bike.
Right.
It was a great place to train.
It's pretty flat down there, I'm assuming, right?
Oh man, it's very mountainous. In fact, the highest peak, the highest peak is. I know you got me. I'm so disorganized. The highest peak down there is that Blue Mountain, and I rode up to the top of that. That's almost 9,000 feet. So you think about it, like Mount Marcy, Mount Buckley, none of them are even over like 6,000. Even Mount Washington, right? Yeah,
correct. Yeah, highest peak east of the Mist. Rode it with John DeLong is. Mount Mitchell, 6643, something like that.
Klingman's Dome.
No, Mitchell's higher. You don't want to make this bet with me because I stood next to the sign. Mount Mitchell's the highest point east of the Mississippi River.
Whoa.
Don't make a bet. You'll lose. I don't want to take your money.
Dude, I got you.
Sign there. Well, unless it's an unofficial thing, maybe you do. But there's highest point east of the Mississippi River. I'm in a spokes kit with my arm over top of the sign with Nick Price about 8 years ago at 6643 Mount Mitchell. To the foot, quoting it, accounting, mindset, quoting it.
Dude, that's an awesome. Yeah, so when you consider that east of the Mississippi and you include like north of the equator east of the Mississippi, then Blue Mountain is the highest peak. And that's in Jamaica. That's ironic.
I see what you're saying because it's technically east of the Mississippi, but not
north of the equator, right?
Yeah. So, but when you get up, Jesse probably will do this in his life at some point. When you get up Haleakala, then we can talk because that's the longest paved uphill in the world. I rode that in 2014 in December, I believe. That's sea level to 10,000 feet. 36 miles, 100% continuously uphill for 36 miles. Paved.
Wow.
Longest
No way.
uphill in the world.
Wow. Where was it? Where did you start that at?
That's Haleakala National Park is in Maui. It starts at a bike shop in a town called Paia, Paia. You can rent a bike there. You can rent a carbon race bike, $60 or something for 24 hours, ride to the top. 4 hours nonstop riding uphill, no stopping. I don't believe in stopping. If I would have stopped, I would have came back and did it continuously until I could do it without stopping. So it's not very steep. It is a little kicker at the top that's like 20% for like, I don't know, 200 yards, but it's so gradual. It has nothing but switchbacks. You start in the town, it goes uphill. You enter the national park around like 20 miles. And for 16 miles, you're in the national park. And every mile, there's a wooden sign. It's like, please just get rid of these signs. It's just like the lap counter in the crit. Like, I don't need to know when there's 20 laps to go. Let me know when there's 5. So I can't, that's a mental thing with crits. That's another.
I know. I hate it, man. You're in the crit, you're hanging on for dear life. And it's like 17, correct. 16. Like, and then you try not to look.
And the Millersburg crit, for example, is just a really, just a tough crit for pro-am stuff, and it's like, you know, you try not to look, but
no.
So
there you go. All right.
Did it take a crap?
No, we're still good. Yeah, so we've been live, right? This is fine.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all live, but yeah, we'll get to where we need to go, and we'll get Chessie on there, maybe or maybe not.
Right, maybe.
But anyway, let's keep rocking it. So, yeah, so it was about what we met about three weeks ago or so. And oh yeah, nice. Nice Penta, dude.
You got to rock.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Hold on. That's a faux pas. I should have a fitted type hat. You can't wear a backwards hat with this bullshit. But you know what? You know what this thing can do? Covers it up. Now you don't see it.
Now it looks sweet. Yeah.
Now you don't. Look at that. It's like the freaking look. You got hand models and then you got headlamp models, right?
Right.
Hey, but who is that? Like some kind of like, hey.
Yeah, that's when I don't go down that hole, when I start getting that much, spending that much time. But yeah, I like that. That was fun. Hey. I don't know who the hell that is.
That's some black chick. I don't know.
Shanique.
In living color, right?
In living color, right?
Yeah, correct.
Oh, so then, so there's your Wilma.
That was Martin Lawrence. Shaniqua. Hey. Wilma.
Yeah, good one.
Remember he would fold his,
I don't know how he did his lips like that.
Down and up.
Somehow.
Stick his butt out.
Got the case right there.
Oh, nice. So can we see your pup again? Is he?
Yeah, I can show you my. Does this let you can flip this, right? Or can't you? Can you flip? Yep. I see it. Here you go. Because it's hard for me. There's my Euro.
Wow.
Ankle. I don't have the hand controls on it yet. I ordered them. By the way, everything in the disabled world is extremely expensive. The motorcycle was $8,000, not a bad price. 2013 model, 4,500 miles on it. But the hand controls were $3,000, and there's a dog in the driveway.
Yeah.
So he's just checking things out. But yeah,
so you got your brake and your throttle, everything up there, right?
Correct. So as of yet, I don't, but I will, and by probably the end of next week when it arrives. Chris Kaeg had a Ural with hand controls. He sold it to somebody, but regardless, yeah. So your handbrake has Titan, come in here, come on down. Your handbrake has your secondary, your foot brake. I rode motorcycle for years, and then I sold my Boulevard after I got hurt. But there's the man.
Yeah.
Good boy. So the handbrake on the rear brake becomes a secondary brake lever that's like a mini one. It's like a baby lever that goes on top of your regular front brake. And then it has these actuated, I forget how they work, but controls that attach to the must lift up the heel toe shifter with the shifting. And then that obviously goes as a push button on your left hand. So it's integrated brake and shifting, adaptive for any motorcycle. But again, anything, they really nail people with disabled stuff. He's just texting me 1 second. They really nail people with adaptive stuff on pricing, and it's they do take advantage of the situation a little bit, not gonna lie, because as soon as you throw something in there that's adaptive, you can just add another zero to it. And like, for example, I'll flip this quick here. Here's this is the lair. This is the man cave. Yes, I sleep in my garage. No, I don't care what anybody thinks. So that's 16,000, what you're seeing in front of you. So
the carbon bike.
Yes, anytime these guys complain about how, race bikes are expensive, well, get disabled and then we'll talk, because you don't know anybody that has a $16,000 road bike. You do not. You can try to tell me that. You'd be bullshitting.
What's the weight on that?
20 on the dot. 20.
Nice. Very nice.
The reason it's so expensive, besides the adaptive aspect, is there's so much carbon on that. I don't have the ability to grab it and flip it up, but that is between my fingers. That's 14 inches of carbon from here all the way to there. So that is probably like 3 or 4 road bikes worth of carbon matter. So that's a pricing relationship. And then the, thing is, a crappy hand cycle would cost you about $3,000, and junky hand cycles are like 38 pounds, because I weighed one. I have a hanging scale. Yeah, dude. So imagine imagine you're using your arms in the first place, then you can't like stand up to go uphill, and then you're going to try to go uphill with an arm powered bike that's 3 times as much as a light road bike would be. Some freaking 40-pound, hand cycle. So this is a huge, so like, for example, I did the Marietta crit last year, hand cycle division. I did the Gettysburg crit, Marietta crit, and the Scranton crit all had hand cycle races. I always got like second because I smoked everybody. And then Cody Wills, who lives in Harrisburg, Paralympic hopeful, he's like 30. Then he'd almost lap me, and I'd almost lap everybody else. So I'm out there in that no man's land where it's like first, like a minute later me, and then like a minute later the field. So I don't like being in that place. I never liked that in a road race because you don't know who's breathing down your back and whatnot. But to the point, as far as how much of a difference that makes and whatnot, Chris Kaeg is a strong dude. Your arm strength is paramount, obviously, in a hand cycle race. These guys that do it Paralympic level, they're gigantic. Their arms are like bodybuilders, are huge. And Chris Kaeg has really big arms, and he's strong. But Chris Kaeg is also riding like probably like a 36-pound. He took a crappy hand cycle, and then he put like zip wheels on it. He's riding like a 35, 36-pound hand cycle, and he might not be I might be a lot weaker than him, but I still beat him because I rolled up next to him at the starting line, and he looked over at the bike. He's like, "Oh shit, you're gonna smoke me." And I said, "I don't know, dude. It's my first race. Don't sell yourself short." And he's like, "Nah, you're gonna get me." So no matter what anybody says, not to be cliche with Armstrong, when it comes to this type of racing, it is about the bike. It is about the bike. So because you'll crush somebody. I don't care how. He is so stinking strong for somebody that's disabled. He would destroy me if we were both on the same bike. But it's like some guy, riding a mountain bike on the road versus some guy riding a race bike on the road. Like I crushed him with that because it's just so aero, and they have full disc wheels for that I don't have because I'm not. I sold them to somebody. They're really expensive. They were $1,000 a piece. But those disc wheels are tubulars, and they're okay. But I'm not at the point where, like, me having those wheels is going to make me go to the Paralympics, win a race when guys are faster. So there's a gal in Texas that's a Paralympic hopeful, and I gave them to her. She was more deserving, and those are just regular clinchers. The back wheels are only 20 inches because the back wheels are a lot faster, they figured out, when they're 20s versus that is a 650C.
Yeah.
Is what that is. So, but that's integrated DI2 push button shifter on the, you can't quite see it, but there you can. Push button shifter right there. And then it came with this ridiculous, SRM PC8, which just does, that thing's like $800. That makes a Garmin look like a piece of junk because it has a power meter built in. There's you can see the SRM. It does everything, everything you want.
How many watts can you generate?
I never looked for a real max number. Arm speaking, me personally, 300 for sure.
Wow.
So I'm sure guys get up there. I don't know.
How long can you sustain 300 for how long for a sprint?
Oh man, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't say long. Maybe a couple minutes. That's like a max. That's like a 300 would be like a sprint effort.
Yeah.
I would say I average like probably 150 or something.
It's pretty good. Better than me.
Yeah. As far as a pie plate and a half goes, this came with an 1142, but I put a wolf tooth on it because of the climbing. Believe it or not, a 42 wouldn't get you up climbs that were steep with your arms. But there you go. I have a 50 on this SOB.
Nah. Yeah, I see that.
So, and then I haven't used it lately, but I have a kicker snap, and a lot of the hand cycle guys are really into, what do you call it? Zwift. So I went and bought a kick or snap, but in the summer, come on, dude, like I'm a naturalist. Like I don't like, and my bottle cages, by the way, they go back here. Some guys use Camelbacks, but I'm not into that, so they just go. And here's a blow.
Yeah, you cut out a bit.
Feels like that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Velcro. It's got
How old is that Jan pack, dude? That's got to be old.
Man. Retro. That thing's from like the 90s.
I knew it. We used to sell those in the shop I owned for a while, and I'm like, I can't believe I seen Jan there. Holy crap!
Yeah, I used to have a touring bike I sold years ago. It was actually Cannondale used to make a Cannondale T1, and let me flip back here. And that was their high end. They made it until about 2010. I actually bought one used. I found on eBay, about $1,000. And once I realized after Jesse did the Trans Am that you could, the bike packing scene has really destroyed the concept of rack, pannier. Come on, what are you, 100-pound bike going up a mountain? Like they're not terrible on the flat, but I'm right. So anyway, but that Cannondale T1 was an aluminum touring bike. Triple crank, third bottle cage, probably only weighed like 23. And I had that rigged up with some Jand Expedition panniers that I got when I was in high school. I wanted to ride across the country like after high school. Didn't happen, blah, 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 blah. But good that it didn't, because I was in way better shape when I did it at 31, 10 years of racing under my belt. But that Jand Expedition panniers, they're like 10,000 cubic inch panniers. And Jan makes the biggest capacity, anything you can get. I think they still make them, but these Expedition panniers and the Expedition rack was like a 70-pound rack. They use them in like third world countries to like do everything, carry like loads of bananas, anything you'd want to do on a bike. But, it's a lead weight. I used it to ride to like the cabin and stuff. But once, as far as packs go, like I tried to get some sponsorship on my ride, but they already had that tied up with, some other people. Mike Hall was still around, when I did that and whatnot, and that Juliana. But Apodora, Jesse, I think, has Revelate. Apodora is in my opinion the best of the best in bike packing, and their seat bag is 17 liters. Once you realize that you can get a race bike and put that that bag that goes under the seat. The racks for efficiency, if you want to go fast and you're a bike racer, racks are, as soon as you throw panniers on, you might as well put a parachute on your back. They're not aero. That seat bag is right underneath you. Seat bag, small gas tank bag, small frame pack, riding across the country, 15-pound bike, started with 15 pounds of gear in Wyoming before a major climb. Got rid of 5 pounds, and I shipped home with some clothing. You're always going to bring stuff you don't need. I found that I didn't need. Shipped 5 pounds home. I'm riding across the country, 15-pound bike, 10 pounds of stuff, race bike, 10 pounds of gear, as efficient as you can get. Zip wheels, Zip 404s, race bike, just rolling. What do you call it? Aero bars.
Yeah.
When you needed them, tailwinds, Midwest, just crushing it. He rode a segment that we went back out there when I flew to Salt Lake, drove to Sioux City. He flew home. I started the leg of my hand cycle to finish the cross-country ride where I got hit near Sioux City. And when we were in Yellowstone, there's a section that goes from, and I didn't use Strava on my ride. I only had a phone. It would have killed the back. You can't use Strava on a cell phone in 15 hours of riding. It wouldn't work. So I started.
You can with a Lupine battery and a splitter. So you put the battery on there, split it, and then get a mount for your phone. And but anyway, go ahead.
Well, that was my and not the sidebar, but that was the thing I was going to ask, because I saw that. I'm assuming that's what you're going to send me. I saw you had that product that you can charge the light, run the light, and then it's got a little pigtail for like a USB-C to, charge a secondary device at the same time.
Yeah.
So Sylvan Pass, Eastern, coming off the Continental Divide. Continental Divide runs through the middle of Yellowstone. Sylvan Pass, particular peak in Yellowstone, descending down to Cody, Wyoming. Prevailing westerlies in the summer, the real thing. Probably only had a headwind in the 18 days I was on the road twice. And riding from, and he thought he was going to beat my time, but he didn't come close because there wasn't as much of a tailwind. Because he had his bike, I dropped him off. Eastern entrance of about 3 miles, but the eastern entrance is down the hill, about 3 miles west of the eastern entrance to Cody, Yellowstone. Eastern side of Yellowstone, Cody, Wyoming, 60-mile section.
Yeah.
Did it with the prevailing westerlies, the aero bars, the zip wheels, 2 hours flat. I averaged 30 miles an hour I rode from east side of Yellowstone, Cody, Wyoming, 60 miles, 2 hours flat. I averaged 30 by myself for 2 hours. It says waiting on the host to let me in, so he should be on
25 pounds total at that point. Or no, you had more then or not?
No, that's what I had. Now remember that's I'm not sugarcoating. I'm partially sugarcoating this. Gradually downhill almost the whole way from is there a call-in option? Oh, stop. From he's trying to do a call-in thing. Just let him do what he wants to do.
All right.
So that's predominantly downhill from Cody to from Yellowstone to Cody. The 5 pounds was shipped home in Gray Bull, which is at the bottom of a climb that's previous to Yellowstone. That's actually 19-mile, 6,000 feet climb. It starts in Shell, and it goes from Shell past Shell Falls and ends at Granite. Granite Pass is 9,000 feet. Climb starts at 3,000, 6,000 foot gain, 19 miles, brutal in the heat. And then subsequent to that, or Gray Bull's a town before that climb, shipped the 5 pounds home. And then
how much of that 25 was water and food?
Nothing. I'm not even counting. I would say when I weighed, I would say, you know what? I shipped when I would say none. So I would say I was probably more like 28 because, Bill, I didn't carry, I had a Sawyer filter with me in case I had to filter, which one day I did in a creek, but I only carried, in fact, I'm going to have a swig. Team bottle. There you go. Yeah. I only carried two bottles. I wouldn't even say they're 24 ounce. They're probably 20s. I only carried 40 ounces. So that's the answer.
Yeah.
There's your answer. That's just shy of 3. And then, so I was probably only out the door at 28. Food wise, dude, nothing. Because, the thing about doing that, I learned a lot from him in brevity. And I also hiked the AT, a third of the whole thing. So
what happened to Jesse? He's gone.
Did he come on and then he left? Is that what happened? No, it's that Mennonite curve. The Mennonite technology curve. So, he tried to come on there. It looked like something just blinked. But
yeah, we're trying to get him back.
Yeah. So all I was saying was that lost my train of thought.
You got food along the way.
Food, correct. So the classic questions they used to ask, there was a nice article Mike Lewis did in the morning paper.
He's back.
Yeah. So food, no. So we don't. When you do that stuff, it's not like, I'm going to go and crank out a century by myself in 6 hours. Yeah. You think you're doing that every day? No, you're not. You would destroy yourself in a week. So you have to stop and take breaks. And those guys, like what he did, I only rode 12 hours a day and enjoyed myself and got 8 hours of sleep. I'm not only for the crazy people where they only sleep 3 hours a night.
Yeah.
I'm doing it in a month. But the point is, you have to take breaks. So I would actually stop and eat a real meal, sit down at a restaurant, spend an hour eating a meal, taking a power nap at lunch, and then get going again. And I only carried 2 bottles of water. I didn't even have a third bottle. I don't even think I had a third bottle with. And when I was in Lolo National Forest, there's a 60-mile section of no facilities at all, but I had my Sawyer filter with, which is something a roadie wouldn't typically do. But most roadies aren't AT hikers. They're a little too fancy pants. I come from a mountain bike hiking thing. So I'm right. That roadie thing.
I know it, dude.
They want to stay at hotels, dude. And that's why a lot of times with teammates, you know, they're not going to care if I say it because they know I'm right. They weren't into the camping thing. And me and Jesse would go to these races in West Virginia. And the night before the race, we didn't want to drive out and back in a day because it's 5 hours one way. We would camp. We would stealth camp, sometimes campgrounds. Davis, West Virginia is a free campground. We would both have tents. We would camp the night before. But we're not hotel people. If I have to, I will. But I don't. It's not my plan. And you know, I just had this Sawyer filter with, and I filtered out of the Clearwater Creek, historic Route 12. You know, runs across through the Lolo, and I ran out. I had 2 bottles. I ran out, but I was good because I had my Sawyer filter, and I just filtered just a little. That filter doesn't even weigh a pound, and I filtered out of the creek, and I was good to go. And you know, I might have grabbed an extra couple bars or something, but I mean, food wise, not even a half a pound. I might have had like, you know, I don't know, like a Cliff Bar or 2, if that, and then 2 bottles of water.
That's what I take on like a 2-hour ride, dude. Hey, I think Jesse's here. Can you hear us?
Hey, good morning, guys. Finally got the phone call and figured out.
Good, man.
Oh, yeah.
Jet, you know, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day. You know, Jared was worried about that. He said, the guy's working hard, man. You know, he's up every day working. So, yeah, thanks for taking a few moments to speak with all of us.
Hey, you're welcome.
Yeah, awesome. So, you know, just to back up, we kind of got rolling. You know how that goes. I'm sure you've gotten rolling with Jared many a time.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
So much. Yeah. So many topics.
He was telling us about, you know, how tough it is to get back into crit racing that you've been experiencing. And I said, Jesus, I haven't raced a crit in 2 years. I'm even embarrassed to show up at a line now for what'll happen. It's like, dude, you got dumped on the first lap. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's been a while. Yeah. So like it was about 3 weeks ago, and Ryan DeWald calls me and he goes, hey, my buddy is in need of a light. He's going to hike the rim trail and from rim to rim in the Grand Canyon. And I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And he goes, yeah, he's friends with John DeLong and Jesse Stauffer. And I said, well, it's good enough for me, man. Who is this guy? And so that's how we became friends. And so we got him a couple of nice Lupine lights. He's sporting the Wilma that he took on the trip. So, yeah, how did that trip go? I mean, how many days did it take you, and how many days were you out in the wilds? That's even better, dude. Yeah, man. Cheers.
Jesse, wie geht's? He forgot to say good morning, wie geht's?
Good morning, wie geht's?
Yeah.
So yeah, Jesse. So how did you go with him, and who else went on the trip?
Yeah, so I had, you know, I was double dipping. I had a flooring convention, a work thing going on in Vegas for the first day. So I flew out the night before they did, and then joined them on the following evening or afternoon, I guess.
So that's a good story in itself. So like you're at this convention and everybody's there. We're going to party in Vegas. Let's go. Where are you going? Yeah, I'm going to go hike the rim trail and camp out in 105-degree heat with my buddy. And they're like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, so I saw the numbers on Facebook, and for viewers out there, you can go and check out Hank Fensty, and you can get all of these stories and more, some great pics on there. And, yeah, so you were out there, what, 3 days? 4 days?
The hike was 2. If you want to say how long we were actually hiking.
But you had a day to get ready and right.
Yeah, we were out there the night before, you know, it would pretty much drove there and just went to sleep, you know. But we, the North, go ahead, I'm sorry.
What was the ambient temperature usually?
Well, the North Rim is 8,000 feet. It's 2,000 feet higher than the South Rim. And the evening, you know, it's actually, it's really weird because we started in the morning at about 7 a.m. and it was only like, I don't even think it was, I actually started, believe it or not, I have a Mountain Air or an Alpine, whatever the hell, sorry. Come on. Whatever, down coat and Mountain Hardwear, Ghost Whisper. But I had to throw my down coat on because we started on that north rim, I believe it was in the low 60s. It was right around 60 or something, and it didn't take long for it to warm up. But the north side is much higher, and then all of a sudden you get about halfway down that north side, and coat's got to go, and 1 minute you're wearing a down coat, and the next minute it's 102, and you're trying to go to sleep at midnight.
Yeah.
At the bottom. So but I would say the average temperature of that bike was I would say our average temperature was in excess of 100 without a doubt. So the north thing once you're halfway down, and then you're at the I mean that hike, try to go chronologically here, of course, but on the way back up, starting at 3 a.m. and not getting done, it took some breaks, probably 2 hours worth of breaks, but essentially the grudge, the grueling climb out of there at 3 a.m., leaving barely, how do you sleep when it's 102? Sleep, it didn't even go below 100, and it did not go below 100 that night. And going, leaving at 3 a.m., getting back to the top at midnight, doing that 10 miles over the course of literally like 20 hours. And if you knock we were in motion for 19 hours.
Nice.
To get from the bottom to the top. And, for 19 hours, we sustained over 100-degree heat for 19 hours.
Wow.
Fact.
How was the trail surface? I mean, especially for you with wheels.
Oh boy. So I'm going to do a 2-second thing, and then I'm going to can it since I ramble, and actually let the real man of the hour is the guy that's on the other side of this thing. Listen, I'm going to tell you something he said, and I should have recorded him saying. When a guy that rode across the country several times and can ride and 2 weeks prior rides a gravel bike race that's 350 miles, gets 5th place, and does it in 25 hours, and rides his bike 24 and a quarter hours straight out of 25, tells you halfway up the climb that it's the hardest thing he ever done in his life.
Holy shit.
That means most people that would have tried to do so I picked, this was a hand-picked thing. Jesse obviously was the, whatever you call it, the anchor. And, and then a teammate from college who was a all regional cross country runner, also the very same person that hiked all 700 miles of the Appalachian with me, 1/3 of the trail. And then a third girl that was, I think she was 20, that she wanted to go with, just a friend that I met on Facebook, that we needed another person to help. She does ultra Spartans, and there's Spartan races out there that are 34 miles long, and she was an ultra beast Spartan racer. So this couldn't have been done without anybody other than probably these 3 people that were already well tempered in the heat, endurance athletes. And as far as the terrain goes, the curve here that nobody could have anticipated. I hiked this trail. I didn't do the north rim, but it's still similar with the water barriers. The water barriers are what's going to kill you with the wheelchair. I hiked this trail in 2013, pre-injury, just on the south side, down the South Kaibab, which is 7, and back up the Bright Angel, which is 10, with Jimmy. Jimmy Stockley is the guy from Bloom, cross country / whatever, AT hiking companion. But so we knew what it was like, but I can't anticipate what it would be like to do it in a chair, because I wouldn't have thought that way, because I didn't know I was going to get hurt. So anyway, there was a couple sections down at the bottom where it was actually pretty smooth, and the elevation is never terrible because it's switchback after switchback. But when the water cascades off the cliff and goes to the subsequent cliff between the switchbacks, there would be washouts that didn't have water barriers. I never counted, because you wouldn't want to. I actually have a pitch counter at home here. I should have brought it and did a pitch counter I would say 500 switchbacks would be a low number. Excuse me, I'm lying. I didn't mean that. 500 water barriers would be a low number. So it's like a curb. You know what it is. You got your a 90-degree face in front of you, and then it goes across. And most of those water barriers were probably an average of 8 inches, and sometimes they were so close together that with the length of the chair, I'll only touch on this real quick. It's sitting. Let me flip it real quick. The chair is sitting right there. The thing about that chair is it has a fork in front of it with a third wheel, which gives it its stability. So the handles, which we beat the crap out of them, we broke the backrest towards the top, but there's handles I have that aren't mounted right there. There's handles that are on the ground that mount to the backrest that Jesse mostly pushed. We attached a rope to the, unfortunately with the chair, I can't hold it and go over there, but there's a third wheel in the front there. And at the top of that wheel, there's a fork, and we got a rope that we brought, and we put the rope under the fork at the two in the front. So anyway, the point is, when that chair is probably, I don't know, 4.5 feet long, and there were actually times, let me switch this. There was actually times where the water barriers were so close together that as soon as you get over one, you had to immediately wheelie to get over the next one. Now that, I'll just paraphrase, that chair has a ratcheting system on the either side of the axle with a chain thing, and it has these holes that these handles go in, and you can see it in my pictures and stuff. So you crank these handles. So I'm actually able, as the front of the back tires contacts the water barrier, here's the barrier, here's the tire coming at it. When that tire comes in contact with that water barrier, I can crank those handles to help rotate those tires up over top of those water barriers.
Kind of like too many stilts or pole vaults or something. And just
and then same thing going down, like to make it easier so it's not like a runaway train. Because there was a precursor to this. The T-ball warm-up to this was doing McAfee Knob with John, and when that had water barriers at the top, and when you come down, you wheelie back, and then I hold the brake. The sticks on the chair have a 90-degree piece of metal sticking out of it, and that's your brake. That's how you brake. So I hold those sticks back, and I hold that weight of that chair back so that person doesn't dump it, fall back. I don't go sailing like Griswold down the freaking mountain with the saucer.
Yeah.
I ease off, analogy. I ease off the, I hold the sticks back against the brakes, and I hold the brakes back, and I real gradually ease off those brakes so they can lower me off those water barriers. But again, the terrain, the bear was obviously incline, the switchbacks, the heat, the water barriers killed us on that hike. Luckily we got it done, but there's hundreds of them, and every time you go up one, there was times where there's a water barrier every 5 feet. Every 5 feet for 30 water barriers in a row, there's a water barrier. Well, that's 150 if you can do math. But there's just constantly these water barriers. The last 3 miles is disgusting. The last 3 miles took, I would say, 3 hours. More than that, 4 hours. I don't know what the per mile thing was. He might have the Strava stats for it. I think he recorded the whole thing, but you're talking, it took about 5 or 6 times as long as it would to get back uphill as it would when you were walking, because not just because of the chair and the arms and all that. If there were no water barriers, the person, 2 people on the front with the rope, 2 people on the back with the handles, no water barriers, just a smooth trail, zip, 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 right up. But instead of going,
yeah.
Just stupid difficult. This grit freedom chair is, the only way that you could have done this. I put it on their Facebook stuff. Now other people are interested in doing it, and a couple people reached out to me, not like crazy. A couple people about doing it. Obviously now's not the time with the heat, but I was saying, you can do it if you want. I said, but I wouldn't do it in the summer. And unless you're tempered in, doing this kind of stuff with the chair, got really good help. Some guy was going to do it, and he said he had 2 people. I was like, dude, you ain't going to make it. You ain't going to make it. I almost broke the best of the best, and we had 3, and you couldn't do it with 2. And here I am rambling.
Now, what say you, Jesse? How do you view the whole experience? And could they have done it with 2 dudes or 2 persons?
I wouldn't recommend it. We should have had like a half a dozen guys, you know.
Like-
Just, didn't think twice of it, you know. Hank was like, "Hey, you want to go along to the Grand Canyon?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And then, yeah, I didn't even think about it twice, and got out there halfway down the canyon, like, what are we doing?
We weren't
But,
planning
you
on
know.
doing the rim to rim. That actually, we scrambled and did that because halfway down, we were never at the North Rim. Jesse also did the South Rim hike. All three of us out of the four had already did the South Rim, and we knew what the canyon was like. The North Rim's 4 miles more, but it's still rough. But we didn't know how it was going to go. I never went to the North Rim. Let's go down the North Rim. Let's come back up. Dude, unless you're like 10 people, like nobody's ever going to come back up the North Rim in a chair. And he could tell you that too. It's brutal. So we got halfway down and we're like, we ain't coming back up this. We're going up the South Rim. And we did run into two guys. I forget their names. They actually knew somebody that had the same chair. They were excited to help us. Unfortunately, they couldn't sustain, going with us on the way back up. They didn't have provisions, but they helped us down to the bottom and camped with us. And we had enough spots on our permit. And two guys that were both ex-military that were young. They were in their mid to late 20s. They actually ran into us halfway down. And at one point, we did have 5 people. And that was like a knife through butter. That made so much of a difference having these guys they happened to know somebody that had the chair. They wanted to take pictures and videos. They actually offered, they said, would you mind if we helped you? And we're like, everybody looked at me, and obviously I was like, no, that would be great. So, that's, again, not to interject, but I forgot to mention, we did have
good stuff.
I would call that a trail angel, we had some trail angels on the way down. That's an AT term, but they helped us, but they weren't prepared to sustain the whole thing. So they weren't able to assist us on the way back.
So
up.
the Lupine Wilma turned out to be good for all you guys because you had the best light, right? The only light, or
yeah. So we did an extensive amount of hiking in the dark for probably about 2 hours in the evening and probably about 2 hours in the morning. And
was Jesse feeding? I heard Jesse was feeding the lemurs or something.
He knows better than
peanut butter.
Go ahead, Jesse. He left his peanut butter
I was
out.
giving the guys some food. The guys that were helping us, I was like offering food, and then I had a squeezed peanut butter, and I left it on the table, and of course he got it.
There's a ringtail. It looks like a lemur, but we saw it in the dark, and I think the girl got a picture of it. It's called a ringtail fox. And I said, what the hell is that thing? And it looks like it has a raccoon. It looks like a lemur, but it has a raccoon tail. And it's actually a type of raccoon that's just like, it's like a ferret, but it's with like a raccoon tail. And this thing in the middle, and the ex-military guy, I only say this real quick, you're not going to believe this, but he showed us pictures to prove it. This Army guy, he had this necklace when we met him of teeth on it from a mountain lion. And I knew that's what that was. And I said, where'd you get that necklace? And he said, I got pictures to prove this. He said he got a hunting permit to hunt a mountain lion in Utah, and the mountain lion was in the tree, and he actually climbed the tree, and the mountain lion went to I know this sounds crazy, but he has pictures of it. The mountain lion went to cuff at him, and he stabbed the mountain lion in a tree with a spear. And that had to be mentioned because that was insane. But he's not afraid of anything. He climbed a tree to go after a mountain lion. You think he cares about this lemur-looking thing? So in the middle of the night, we hear this noise, and he turns his light on. I'm half asleep. He goes running after this thing to get the peanut butter back, throws a rock at it, and just to scare it. I don't think he was trying to kill it. But he gets this peanut butter thing back, and instead of putting it in the bear box, which is where all the food should have been that's perishable, by the way, we all know that. We weren't thinking.
Way to go, Jesse.
Yeah, it wasn't just, he gave it, of course, he gave it to them, and they forgot to put it back in.
Got it.
Stuff out. So that thing came because it hangs out down there. When I saw that thing before we went to sleep, I was like, this guy hangs out down here for food. We're going to see him again. Sure enough. And then it came back again, fell back to sleep. And then it came back again. Nothing was out, creeping around. And then the guy went after it again. This freaking the legend of the ringtail fox. Anyway,
Nice story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jesse, you glad you did it, man. That was quite heroic, actually. And you were the first guys to do that, right?
With that chair.
Chair.
Yeah. Some people went down. To my knowledge, I could ask the Rangers. I keep forgetting. I'd like to. To my knowledge, nobody ever went down the North Rim at all with a chair. People that just wanted to say that they did it with a chair. Some guy was some elderly guy had his 8. By the way, a team, right? 8 grandchildren carry him down the South Kaibab and then right back up, 7 miles down, 7 miles back, just to say he went to the bottom, did the shortest distance possible. And he had a chair that wasn't like a wheelchair. It was like a thing that they just carried him down, you know? So,
like Egyptians or something. Yeah.
Yeah, something. That, to my knowledge, was the only time that somebody did it with a chair. I could probably say without doubt nobody ever went rim to rim. So, you know, we survived, and all in all, it made for a more interesting story instead of saying that it would have been harder to go north and back up the north for sure. But it has that auspicion to it where you say, rim to rim, you know?
It sounds more impressive. Yeah,
it does. But it's actually not. It's actually harder. Or you know what I meant? It's actually easier because you know, the North Trail is 14 miles. The South Trail is 10. And, you know, we went down.
Do the math.
Yes, we descended 14 miles over the course of 6,000 foot. The bottom's 2, top is 8 in the north, top is 6. So we descended 14 over 6,000 feet, but we ascended 10 over 4,000 feet. Ascending 6,000 over 14, nah, that won't happen. Nobody will do it. And the guy that's on the other side of the call with more tempered than I am in the assistance, nobody will come back up that north side with that wheelchair.
Jesse, how many days after Unbound XL was this that you were in the Grand Canyon?
I'm thinking it was the following weekend, maybe. No, was it 2 weeks? It was 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks.
Little recovery. I don't know if you saw my podcast about 3 weeks ago. I did it with Will Lovner.
I did see that. That
cool.
was great.
So I'm dying to ask you, were you the fifth guy? Because he says after about 90 miles there was 5 of us, or 80 miles or something. There was 5 of us, and then he said there was just him and Taylor Lindeen. So I was wondering if you were in that 5-pack.
No, they were pushing like at the start. They were pushing, you know. I think the 5th guy didn't last. We caught a couple guys. So there's that fine balance, you know, when you go into an ultra distance race about how far you push yourself in the first 100 miles, you know. So I kind of let off and, you know, recovered and got back in it. And then, we pretty much caught a couple guys of that group. There was only, the 4 out in front by the time I got done.
You up for it next year?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, glad to hear that. I think I'm going to go out. I'm going to try I'm going to try the 100 for sure. Maybe the 200. I don't know. See how I'm going to do unpaved. I'm going to do unpaved this fall. Are you in that race, buddy?
Depends. I'm thinking about petitioning for our own overnighter, but we'll see. Okay. I'm signed up for the regular one.
Bald Eagle State.
I was talking to Dave about it.
Good to hear. Well,
I was talking to Dave about it, that we wanted our own unpaved XL here in Pennsylvania. So putting it out there.
I'm liking it, man. Keep me posted. We'll
do.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So, I was also interested in listening to Will Lovner talk about breaking his hand and then riding for 8 hours. Yeah. And he goes, I got totally dehydrated and I had that rapo, you know, where his muscles started to disintegrate. And he said, because I didn't drink. And he said he had water bottles, but he didn't want to take, because he only had one hand resting on the aero bars. So he was gripping with the other. And so for 8 hours, he didn't take his hand off and he wouldn't stop. So I'm like thinking, think about stopping and taking a drink, dude. He's like, no, I ain't stopping.
Wow, some kid for sure.
I'm glad you guys did that. I'm so glad, and I'm glad we got to hook you guys up with Lupine, and it helped.
Man, the light's incredible. It 3,200 lumens. Bill, the thing about this light and the gratuity I have towards you setting it is, much beyond the hike and my life, being disabled and stuff. I really rely, a lot of people, don't have headlamps, and that's fine, but you couldn't function living an active lifestyle, doing anything in the dark at all without a headlamp. I can't hold a flashlight and ambulate because I need my arms to move the chair. It's so simple. But, just as far as throwing something on real quick, like, just this Penta, just a 600 lumen white light, super techie guy, nerd with this stuff. And, I had a 550 because, you're talking about something that not only has the white light, but then it has, and the different levels of it, and not to blind anybody, but Jesus. And
that's cool.
The
and
red,
then the red.
And the red, nobody makes, to my knowledge, makes a headlamp that has red, that also has a quality lumen intensity of a white light, because most of these lights that have red, their white offering is like maybe 100, 150, and, it's super light, rechargeable, USB-C, you got your cell phone with, you got a battery pack thing, a pocket juice, what have you. And, if you,
we're going to have those back in stock in a couple of weeks. So I'm really glad we got to talk about it, because I'm jazzed to see, how these things sell, because we really, we've been known for bike lights and so on and so forth, and adventure lights like you have on your head, but not really a light of this nature that everybody can use, no matter what you're doing. Like, I carry mine with me in the car, keep it beside my bed, etc. It's beautiful. Yeah, this is also, you were talking about this for runners. So this is a front click headband. See how? Yeah, I got to put it in front of me.
So you can actually see it.
It's a front click headband, and this is a front click adapter. So that means you could take the head unit off of the Penta, like what you have on the Wilma. So you could take this head unit off, and you can put it on an adapter, and then you could put it on a regular headband like you have for the Wilma, and then use it in that manner if you want that top piece. So, but then when you have the front click on it like you have on your Wilma, then you can put it on your bicycle or on your helmet or on your headband, all tool free. And in minutes or seconds, you can switch it all around. And with now you can do that with the Penta as well. So you can use it on your bike, on your helmet, camping, hiking, whenever you have power outage at your house, whenever you're laying some flooring and you need some good light. Yeah, man. Yeah. Let's, by the way, I wanted to put a plug in for your flooring business, because I know you've taken some valuable time off your schedule to talk with us. So you want to tell us about your company real quick?
Yeah, sure. It's me and my brother's oldest brother and youngest brother, and Stauffer Brothers Flooring. We're about 3 years into this. I've had previous experience. My oldest brother, started a store way back, like 20 years ago. But yeah, 3 years ago, launched, jumped into starting up a flooring business from scratch. And yeah, just so much harder to take off if you're managing like your own store. So to be able to do that, it's just like, yeah, my brothers definitely, play a big part in that.
Good to hear.
So yeah, it's going great. This economy, and everything, it's just great. So I gotta grab a call here real quick.
All right.
But he has to take that. He's a working man.
Oh, he is.
He'll mute it, and then he'll be back in a minute. But yeah, and as far as that plug goes, what's that, Jesse?
I can let that go, so we're good.
But it's ringing again.
So where's your where do you do most of your business? Like in the Reading area, Bloomsburg area? Are you down into Lancaster at all?
Yeah, so mostly local here, but I do have, a few clients down there. In the past, we've done quite a bit down there. Oh, yeah, so, I got, my mom's from Lancaster, so, family, relatives,
Got it.
Amish and Mennonite community do well in that, So, but yeah, generally, my guys were just down in New Holland for a couple jobs a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, all over the place.
Sweet. Good stuff, man. So do you have any events planned going forward with either you guys or with DeLong or John DeLong or anything like that coming up? What's next on the list?
Man, going to Disney World. That's what I told him when I finished the hand cycle cross country run. No, Disneyland. No, so just I like to go and spectate the races and stuff. And I want to back up for 1 second about the flooring thing. So coincidentally, just previously to the hike by about I think we knocked it out just before the hike. So carpet's no good for somebody that's disabled. It's garbage. It's like quicksand. So I making this 2-story house work for me. Got a stair lift, whatever. But Jesse's business, in fact, installed luxury vinyl tile flooring, LVT, for those in the know, in my living room. And, just a testament to how, him and his brothers are with the business and just cranking it out. There's 24 hours in a day, and 12 hours would be a half day. Well, that's a half day to a hardworking flooring installer. And his brother showed up here at 11 a.m. and got started on my floor here, installing my vinyl tile. And he wrapped up at 11 p.m. and headed out. He did the whole thing by himself. We did have the carpet ripped up and all that, and it was down to the bare it was parquet floor, but it couldn't be saved. But that's installation of all the underlayment, and then the glue on top of the underlayment, and a full installation of I believe about, Jesse could quote me on it, 300 square foot living room, underlayment, glue down, all the vinyl tile on top of it, precision cut around the necessity of the heater and stuff. And I even went around with a pretty fine eye as a long-term woodworker and craftsman of some furniture I made. And I looked very carefully, and I was like, man, this guy is on it. I couldn't find one flaw in what they did. And it's going to last a long time. And LVT is the way to go for somebody that's disabled over a hardwood, because and also pets. I have the dog. It's very commercially suited towards somebody that's in a chair and hospitals and stuff. So I can't get up there, of course, in the time allowed to since I'm in the basement. It's my own stupid fault. I should have went up there, and I'm in here in the basement. But yeah, I took some pictures of it on my Facebook page. But it's really good job. But
I like the basement, man. That's great. Got all your equipment down there.
Yeah, it's just for me. And again, Bill, not just to finish my thought on that. If you're able to sell this Penta, I think it retails around. You get what you pay for. A lot of these lights, these Mickey Mouse lights, $50, $100. They're junk. And this thing's super light. It has a special modes feature where you can go into a flash and an SOS, and it has the ability to press both the buttons for the red and the white and lock it. And when you lock it, it'll let you know that you locked it. It's going to blink in a second. And then now you can't, this can't be turned on by accident in
the luggage or whatever, right? You don't want that.
Right. And then if you press both of them again, it's going to turn white and unlock it. And, obviously I've studied using this a lot. This is an extreme product here for people that want to do just a lot of stuff. Like you said, the 24-hour mountain bike people, gravel, the Iditarod people, but just as like a grab and go, like everyday thing, a lot of times I don't do it so much now because it's hot out, but in the winter, a lot of times, so I have a headlamp. I used to keep a basic one like this that was junk just around I used to sleep with one of these on. You're not even going to know it's there half the time. You wake up, you need hands-free lighting. You want to see what, if the lemur or the grizzly bear is about to attack you. There you go. So,
Coming looking for peanut butter.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they're ready to go, but like you said, if you're able to incorporate this with a, hold on, turn it off here. Sorry. If, the fact that you're able to incorporate this as a, with the front click, that
Right.
you can put this light with a little adapter that it needs on, which you sell once you're back to speed here, with this head strap, that is a hiking and trail runner's dream of a one-stop shopping, because when you're hiking, you need to have that red light at night. You don't want to wake people up in the shelter. You want to read in the winter. You want to read a book. You need that red light. And then also, as far as being a runner, and I did a lot of trail running at Neversink and Reading with the Pagoda Pacers and stuff. When you're hammering down, running down a hill, the fact that you can put this light, which goes for about $200 on this type of strap, but crucial to being able to keep that lamp from sliding down, because you can't do trail running without having that upper strap, because it's just going to slide down. You're going to hiking, not so much of an issue, and you do need the red light, so that's crucial to the light. You can buy hiking without that top strap, but trail running in the dark, or just running in the dark in general, the trail running just makes it more bouncy. But running in the dark, you need to have that stability of that third band. And the fact that you can sell this light with that strap and that front click, that you can just attach it, put it on a helmet mount, the ability to sell this with a full integrated head strap, best thing on the market. And I wish you luck as soon as you're able to produce those again, because they're really going to sell.
Yeah, we should have them in stock in about 3 weeks at the latest. So I'm pretty jazzed about that. And you made a solid point about the Appalachian Trail folks, because you're a fairly prominent name with those guys. And I know I used to do a lot of trail hiking, and I hiked most of the Appalachian Trail over the years. And everybody should have one of these. And then also, relative to runtime, you can always charge this with one of our outboard batteries or with any battery pack. So you can get mega runtime. Something like that. And you could charge this thing and or have it run for days. And the fact that it's got SOS and Alpine Distress, and you can't understate the importance of the red, because just for those folks out here who aren't aware of it, red doesn't dilate your pupils like white light does. So therefore, you do not lose your night vision. You put the red on and you go out of your tent, or, if you're working in close quarters and trying to fix something, right, it's the red light, and you can still look away and see fine because your pupils aren't dilated by the white light. So,
I'm looking to use that.
Sorry,
I'm doing it, so you might want
on the light, there's the special modes. You just hold it in when it's off for 3 seconds, puts it in SOS on the white S.
some dollar trip we did.
yeah,
You hit it.
that's awesome.
Then you got the flash on the white, and it's just a quick little learning curve that when you're using this, when you first turn it on, you have to hold that button in, and then about 3 seconds, and then it'll go on to the special modes, which has some different lumen intensity settings that'll last a long time. And then on the red side, it also, a unique thing that I don't know that anybody does this at all. If I hold it in on that side, it's going to go into special modes on the red, and then it also has a flashing on the red. There you go. It's kind of enough. Now, I will touch on this real quick since I have this on my head. The big thing, this this 14 amp hour battery pack is insane, and you can also use this to charge your phone. But Bill, I haven't even charged this thing yet. I'll probably charge it tonight or something. I haven't even charged this since I bought it, and it's just a hair over a pound, 400 grams, 1.1 pounds. This is a battery indicator, which is nice. It's increments of 20 from 100 down to 20, and this thing still has 40% battery. I haven't even charged this thing yet, and to the point. What I have is, this has a ton of brightness settings. You got to read the book a little bit, but you can set it to 4 different settings of your choice. And of course, I'm going to go off to the side here, but I have it on 600 just to let people know that I'm there, you know, and you can see this light if you're paying attention, because my other one was 550, my Princeton Tech, you're definitely seeing this light. But if you're 100 yards out, and as somebody that is disabled, I'm still a pedestrian, so I of course go with my dog in the evening when it's cooler in the summer here. On the left side of the road, as pedestrians are required to walk on the left side of the road, I'm still a pedestrian, so I go on the left side of the road. I keep it at 600. Now, if you're 100 yards out and you're not getting over, and you should see me unless you're texting or screwing around, or you're just being a nitwit and you're not getting over, I'm lighting you up. I'm lighting you up to 3,200 lumens. I'm going to light you up.
And we're probably up to, you were up to 3,600 now, probably on that one. We just didn't state it, but yeah,
correct,
that's lighting somebody up.
The insane thing, I don't know what the lumen setting, the lumen is on the disorient, but it has this other thing that's called, I should program a 4th mode, but right now I'm on 3. The other thing is, and then I think one time, like, some guy still wasn't like waking up, and I don't know what the lumens is on disorient, but this is enough to give somebody a seizure. That's disorient.
Yeah.
So
supposedly it also makes you eat pizza and Raisin Bran.
I'll just hit a little bit and how insane that is.
So,
you know,
how often do you use your wireless remote that you can put on your wristlet? I see you're always using a manually switch up there.
Yeah, so here you go. You know, the battery pack, of course, has the straps that are in the case that you can put on the frame of the bike, whatnot. But yeah, here's the this is a Bluetooth wristlet. I did use it extensively on the hike. I with the chair, not just going out with the dog or something for a half hour, not so much. But I mean, this strap can go on your wrist, and it also can go on the handlebars on your mountain bike, because, you know, as somebody that's raced mountain bikes, I understand, especially in the dark, like, you can't be reaching up if you're going downhill. You'll crash. You need both hands on the bars. So this thing, if I press this, I don't need to touch this. I'm going to turn my head. I'm going to press this, and it's going to turn the light on at 600. I'm going to press it again. It's going to light me up to 36, excuse me. And then I'm going to press it again. It's going to give disorient. Then I'm going to hold it in, and it's going to turn it off.
So sweet.
You know, again, I don't know for sure, but I think you're probably the, to my knowledge, you're the only outfit that has something with a headlamp that offers this thing. And
certainly that,
you know, if it was dark out right now,
yeah,
I probably put it on. But, you know, again, it just, you got the Lupine logo on there. You put it on your wrist. This thing fishes through here, and then turn the light on, and then that, you know, just comes around. But, you know,
that'll also go over the hood of your gravel bike or your road bike. And then we also have like little Peppy V's that just strap onto your bars, either straight bars or drop bars.
Right.
In fact,
Jesse, I'm not going to lie. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we also have the Betty, which is 6 LEDs, actually 7. And Will Lovner is, I think, just starting. I think tonight or tomorrow, he starts the 24-hour National Mountain Bike Championship that he's in. So, and he's got a Betty. So we've got, you know, the best wishes for him, but that's in Bend, Oregon, I believe. And yeah, so he's been riding all the way out there, you know, as he's stopping. But I just saw, I think tomorrow's the official start at noon, right? And then they go 24 hours. So hopefully, you know, he can get a national championship. And he's only 22, so that'd be pretty cool.
And I imagine
that would be awesome.
what he's going to be doing there is, you know, you got this nice, let me just wiggle it off here. I'm always careful when I disconnect it. You know, you got your battery pack, and it's going to last a long time, but in 5,000 lumens, not that he would run it the whole time. You know, I imagine they might even use your 7 amp hour offering, but, you know, obviously a guy like that, you know, in the evening, he's probably going to have another battery. He's going to have a crew. He just has to grab this other battery real quick, throw it in his jersey, or if he straps it to the, you know, frame, and then he just cranks this thing right in, almost putting it upside down. Now, when you plug it in, I'm looking away. When you first plug it in, it does a checkup. They'll, you know, see where the battery's at, and it turns on by itself for a second, which, by the way, almost blinded the stewardess on the flight because I got the package here just real quick. I got this crazy package, which is like Christmas time. I opened this up on the plane and learned how everything operated. And that's with the Wilma or the Betty. You get all these, you got your cigarette lighter option, 12 volt, whatever, your charger, your micro charger thing. But, yeah, I didn't realize that when I was going to plug it in, that it was going to do that diagnostic and light it up. But, well, you're doing that stuff that those guys are doing. Most people, even myself, like I knew about this kind of, extreme stuff, but, most people aren't even aware that they have headlamps that have this kind of stuff. If you use this light on, whatever the, various levels that you can have it on, it's, just grabbing it here. It would last forever on like a lower level setting.
Yeah, economy mode, I think 66 hours.
Yeah, and
or maybe more, maybe 80 hours.
Yeah, so what the crazy thing is, a lot of these things, if you didn't, this light, that light, without this battery pack. So on the 14, you got on a 15 amp hour battery, you got at 3,200 lumens. There's a little thing in the book right there.
Yeah.
At 3,200 lumens, you got it. You still have it. You're still rocking a 3.5 hour runtime. And if you just have this on like a basic, just like I need a little bit of lighting, what's the lowest level setting? See, a lot of people would think that something like this would only have, 3,200. Well, what other settings does it have? Well, first of all, 3, 6, 9. This has 10 different brightness settings, and which is a ton. And that's why it's programmable, and it's very advanced. 630 grams on that 14 amp hour battery, about 1.2 pounds. But your runtime on the other end, if you only have this light with this battery pack, 14 amp hours at 45 lumens, and you just need it for some ambient lighting around the area, camping, what have you, 310 hour runtime on 45 lumens.
Oh, wow. Wow, I didn't realize. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So, and then if you're just looking at something that's like really going to give you like a lot of good lighting, come on. I mean, mountain biking, you definitely need those high settings, 3,000-4,000 lumens. But come on, I just to tell you, I ride in the road like hand cycle or regular bike. 1350 that's still a very, your car headlights are only about 1350. And with this 14 amp hour battery, you're going to get a 9.5 hour runtime. A lot of bike lights, Saigo light, whatever, Night Rider, if you don't have something like this, you're on I have a 1350 lumen, 1300 lumen light on the hand cycle. That thing might last in that brightness intensity for like an hour and a half. You're getting, and anything in between, you're still getting, how long are you going to ride for? You can get 1,800 lumens, which is the most you would ever need on the road. 1,800 lumens, 6 hour and 45 minute runtime on that. And
to your
and
point
so on
about,
and so forth. So
yeah, to your point, we have that whole SL line that was originally developed for electric bikes because we have a whole bunch of lights just designed for e-bikes that plug right into the motors. So what they have is they call this STZVO road standard in Europe. So which means it's like a car headlamp. So it has a distinct cutoff right at chest high.
Hey guys, I'm gonna jump off here. So good talking.
Yeah, for sure. And just to mention again, so you are working on an XL event, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so that's
working
cool.
at it.
Yeah, send me some info on that, and maybe we could do a podcast with you as you get closer to making that a reality.
Well, I want to do a pre-ride first. Then I'll let you know how that goes.
Before you jump off, I had I imported Guerciati road bicycles and gravel bicycles from Italy.
Yeah,
and I had a small gravel frame that was done in Rasta colors.
Interesting.
Black. And somebody said, you ought to talk to Jesse about riding that because that would be a good thing. So I specifically have this small left of that color pattern. And I wanted to ask you that if you have some interest in, we should talk about that.
Yeah.
If you
Maybe
don't
I
already,
should get
if you're
your
not already
number.
set on it, but it's a sweet bike. And
Okay.
so it's just a frame at this point. But
Hey, I appreciate you.
so let's talk about
Bringing
that
that up, yeah.
another time, and let's talk about after
Sure.
you do your pre-ride. Let's hook up again. So you've got my numbers and stuff, and so
Sure
yeah, let's
thing.
talk. Thanks for coming on.
Very good. Hey, it was
Thanks.
great. Good time.
All right,
Jesse,
take care.
Jesse,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, see you, Jesse. Thank you.
So
Okay.
he'll Bill, real quick, he'll see this after the fact, but I want to mention, I imagine what he has in mind here, and I can tell you, we have a boat. We both have a vast knowledge of the Bald Eagle State Forest, which is most easily accessed at the mile run exit off Route 80. They call it the exit to nowhere because it's actually an exit for a town that they were going to build that never came to be. And there's nothing there at all but a snowmobile parking lot that they plow. And it's like a mecca for snowmobile riding, and the PennDOT building with equipment. But I am very familiar with that myself and the forest because I ride snowmobiles. I still ride snowmobile. Jesse's gone with me a bunch of times, and I kept a secondary machine for other people to go with me, and yada yada. But anyway, I'm a member of a cabin for about 7 years now that's in Bald Eagle Forest. I live right on a gravel road that's in the forest. It's a snowmobile road. I can ride right out of the driveway of the cabin. Bald Eagle is home of 300 miles of gravel roads within the forest. And there is that many. There is exactly, I believe, right around exactly 300 miles. And, that's all stuff that I can ride. I can get, I really like living in Bloom, being disabled, because I don't have to drive to go anywhere. I can leave right now. I can go 3 blocks. It's 3 blocks from my house to Dutch Wheelman. Pre-injury, I'm doing shop rides Monday and Thursday. Steve Speaks, good friend, former pro. He actually raced for Rite Aid with John and
Ryan.
And the rides would leave at 5:30, and I would leave my house at 5:27 on my bike, like just. Dude, so I mean, how many people you find somebody else that has a road arrangement like that, you let me know. So Columbia County is just such a great place to ride, less traffic. Red Rock. Jonestown Mountain, Red Rock, going up to Ricketts Glen, just brutal climb. I would say Red Rock Mountain, without a doubt, is probably the hardest or one of the top 3 hardest climbs in Pennsylvania. It's brutal, and Jonestown's really hard too. And we have a lot of other ones. But regardless, out in Union County, where the cabin is, where the mile run exit is there, you got several counties, but a lot of Union covers. But, Bald Eagle is going to be the place where he's probably going to try to do this, his own gravel thing. And I'm going to try to help him with it now that he's mentioned it, because, I'm intimately familiar, mostly from snowmobiling, with the dirt road offerings that are in this forest. There's no traffic out there, just all these neat cabins. It's higher elevation, much cooler temps, and it would really make for a nice gravel race. And
you think you're gonna get your carbon bike out there on the gravel someday?
Oh no, I mean not that bike, and I'll tell you why. Because that is oriented towards more specifically road, but it's not, it's not like any cinder. It's rough. It's rough gravel. The carbon isn't the issue, of course. The problem is, that's a road machine. It's not really meant for that. They do have like hybrid style ones, and again, you got to get all this different equipment and stuff. But I have ridden it out there for a brief period from like one cabin to another, about 3 miles in one direction. The problem with a hand cycle is, I'm only going to do it this way so you can see it. Why doesn't it show it? Oh, this one. This one. Your head is in direct contact with all the bumps that you're going to receive.
Oh, yeah. Didn't think of that.
If you rested your head on, yeah, exactly. So that's why there was a couple places. I don't get headaches. I got some headaches in Iowa. I had to skip some sections because most of the roads in Iowa, which by the way, I'm going out there to do some SAG. Dieter Drake, we got in touch, after I had hurt and stuff and this and that. He helped me out with some SAG in Iowa with the hand cycle. But I'm going to go out there and do some SAG with Ragbri, which is only coming up here very soon. It's the last week in July here, about 2 weeks
right
away.
around the corner.
Right. So a lot of Iowa's roads are concrete. Most of their roads are concrete. And the problem is concrete's laid in sections. So you got that little divider thing where you feel that little baby, and you're like, oh, no big deal. Every time, about every 20 feet, I hit one of those concrete barrier, the brakes there, and boom, boom. And it gave me a headache. And to the point, yeah, you can ride gravel and of course mountain bike stuff with these mountain bike hand cycles. Reactive adaptations makes a full-on e-assist carbon mountain hand cycle. These ones you kneel and then you have regular mountain bike handlebars and you steer with your chest or the bars, but you pedal like this. It's in front of you. Your chest goes on a thing. You're kneeling. So that would be the way to do it on those trails, because when your head is in contact with the seat, like that thing is, all the bumps, like you have your rear end to cushion as padding to cushion bumps, whether you're mountain biking or gravel biking. You don't have that on a traditional lay down hand cycle. So again, I'm pretty tapped out right now on buying all this. I was always a roadie anyway, and I rarely rode that mountain bike, like I told you. So, I mean, it's a bear, because for something you're not going to use that much, how much is a mountain hand cycle? Well, Bill, it's $14,000. And, for something I'm not going to use very often, I'm really not.
How about e-bike? Are e-bikes entering into the hand cycle arena yet?
Yeah, so they have, the e-assist thing there, and the high-end mountain hand cycle. The carbon bike doesn't have an offering. To my knowledge, nobody that has this top-end hand cycle has done any kind of e-assist adaptation to it. But I think they do have some offerings of road hand cycles that are lower level that do have the e-assist. Now, I personally, just being somebody that always kind of found fault with e-bikes, unless you were elderly, had some kind of impairment, or in my case, disabled or something, that's different. So yeah, what an e-assist, I've rode one, Chris Kaig's brother, Eric Kaig, has one. I've ridden an e-assist hand cycle, and what that does is it gives you the ability to actually keep up with a group mountain bike ride. They have a Tuesday ride every week that they start out of the Bamba group. That's usually around Neversink or just the Reading area. They go to the Pagoda a lot. But I jumped on the road with this mountain hand cycle he had, and on the flat on the road, I had this mountain hand cycle going like 35 miles an hour. I rode from the Bamba lot up List Road, like 2 miles to the Pagoda. I passed some cars, and you can have your e-assist at varying levels, but when you're doing mountain biking and you're doing mountain hand cycling, you're trying to keep up with a group of able-bodied riders, and you don't have that e-assist, it would take you all night. They ride in the evening. That they do some night rides. If you incorporate the e-assist on a mountain hand cycle, it actually gives you the ability when you can have it that it's a lower level, that you're not, and it's not standalone. You still have to crank, but as you know how these things work, but you can have like a mid-level e-assist that when normally you would lose these guys on the climbs, you won't, and then you can keep right up. So it's very up and coming, and it's very prolific with the mountain scene. But road bike road hand cycle e-assist, not unless it's some botched up thing that somebody fabbed up. You're not going to have an offering on. You can't have it both ways. Somebody probably makes one, but and again, that affects me a lot, because we got rained out last night, but we have an A group and a B group that go out, and the A's are the hammers. I used to be with them and mop the floor with them. and make them hurt when I was riding a regular bike. But, you know, I can keep up with the B ride, and I can get a draft. I can get on the back and I can hang on, throw a little bit of rollers in. You know, give me a second. I'll catch back up. You start throwing big climbs in like we got around here, even with a B group that's only an average, like, you know, 14 versus like 19, 20 on an A ride. I can't even keep up with the B group as soon as you throw hills in. The E assist would bring that to a forefront where I could, but, you know, I'm not going to buy another hand cycle for the road right now. There, maybe down the road, I think it's going to go there eventually. Yeah. But I could spend like a grand or two and make that something that would be quick detachable. That, okay, well, today I'm not going to use it because I don't need it, or I'm doing a hard effort on my own, or I'm obviously doing a race. I can't cheat. But then if I wanted to go out with able-bodied riders and keep up, you know, unfortunately, when you're in an urban area, you have more people like Philly, you have Delaware Valley area, you have more people, you have more disabled people because you have more people. So to my knowledge, I'm the only person that rides a hand cycle in Columbia County. I don't have anybody else to hand cycle with. I do go out with the B group on Monday and Thursdays. I usually can keep up for the first 20 miles of the ride. Then we're going to hit a major climb, and they're willing to wait. But I say, guys, you know, I wouldn't have expected, you know, anybody. I wouldn't have wanted to wait for somebody before. I'm not hypocritical. Just go. They're like, are you sure? I said, yeah, just go. I said, it's going to take me too long. You throw in a major climb like that. I did a climb the other night that's about 2 miles long coming out of Mainville, just back up into Bloom. Not too steep, but still 2 miles of uphill is 2 miles. And I was looking at my SRM, and I probably would have cranked that climb with a regular bike. I could average for sure like 12 miles an hour up that thing. I averaged 2 miles an hour on that with a hand cycle.
Oh, man.
It is what it is. But yeah, you know, it's Chris Peterson, you know, sells the carbon bikes. He's down in St. Pete, Florida. And yeah, I mean, I think eventually he's going to get so much kickback that people are going to want to have that included. He'll do it eventually. But, you know, this is geared towards people that are, you know, all that is the very bike that, and I think I mentioned this, that is there. Now I can see what I'm showing you. That is the very hand cycle with different, you know, different stuff with the wheels and whatnot. Wheels are, you know, the deviation is old as time as far as what they want to do with their wheels, custom and whatnot. But that bike I just showed you, all the Paralympians, the best in the world ride that bike. So the point is, those guys, you know, they're not out riding with regular bikes. They're doing their own thing. They're not interested in e-assist. So even though that's the best, it doesn't offer e-assist.
Yeah.
And that's just long and short of it.
Do you have any Paralympic aspirations? Or are you shooting for that?
That's a good appreciate you asking that. That would be the next step for somebody like me. But no, I mean, it's very humbling. I mean, I went to you know, Cody Wills, really good hand cyclist out of Harrisburg. He's hoping to do that. But I did a Gettysburg criterium that wasn't a Mickey Mouse hand cycle race. That was with these PVA guys, Paralyzed Veterans of America, and some of those guys are Paralympians, and they ride all around the country. And, you know, I guess never say never, but even if I would think of it, that would be way down the road, because just like it took me 10 years to be really comfortable with racing bikes at an elite level, hundreds of races across the country. It wasn't a big sweat to do 100 a day for a month. Completely different animal. You're stepping into something other than the skills of, like, you know, how to read a crit, how to race a crit. You're stepping into something that is brand new. It's like you never raced a bike. You're starting all over, because it's with your arms, and you're trying to go against guys that have done this stuff for 10 years.
For decades, right? Or more.
I did that. And the other thing is, like, I'm a runner and a cyclist, you know, as a normal person would think. You know, I'm not like some kind of, you know, Hulk Hogan. You know, these guys, they're jacked, you know, and you go to these hand cycle races, and, you know, you get this Gettysburg one that was actually held by pros and stuff. So just to put this in perspective, I did do one this year. Me and Jesse flew down to Orlando, went to Gainesville to do what's called the Swamp Classic. You may have heard of that, because that's adaptive and regular races. Now, they don't do that they don't really have an Omnium offering. It's kind of weird. They should have it as a stage race, but they have it set up that time trial road race crit, where, and I believe it's road race time trial crit. But as far as those races go, it's not an Omnium. So you can actually show up and just do one or all three, and guys are showing up that are fresh, just cherry picking, doing just one of the races, and then they're doing the crit, and then the other, everybody else might have the TT and the road race under their belt, and they're more worn down. But to the point, I did go down there. I just did the time trial. I think it was about a 10-mile time trial. I can average about 15 on the hand cycle, and that's going pretty hard. When I go around here on my own, usually only about 10, 15, 16 on the flats, and there's a guy down there. I think it might have been by the name of Tom Davis. Now, every injury is different. There's different levels with the injury level of the classifications, but nonetheless, it was still, and I believe he's just an amputee, but arm powered, like in Gettysburg, these guys in this crit, they're just crushing me. They're crushing me. If I trained as hard as I possibly could for the next 10 years, would I ever be able to beat those guys or even keep up with them? No, Bill. Like I can tell you right now, and that's not throwing in the towel. They're just, I'm not of the other thing is the thing about amputees is when you have an amputation, your arms are going to just be that much more blown up because you're using them more. Your body adapts to that. And the point is, just how fast can these guys go? Well, I'll tell you, Tom Davis, I think that's his name. I believe he's the best in the world at any, whatever, regardless of injury, just arm powered hand cyclist. I believe he's the best. And he was at this Swamp Classic. And if he would have done the Pro 1 time trial, able-bodied, again, how did he stack up against the best able-bodied cyclist? Billy would have got 10th. The dude averaged 24 miles. The dude averaged 24 miles an hour with a hand cycle for 10 miles. Go out and ride your bike right now and do that. You won't.
No.
So yeah, right. So
with a
anyway,
jacked up time trial bike, yeah. I mean,
yeah. So these guys, right?
I see your point. So you need about 10 years, and then then we could talk again.
36 years old. Yeah, I'll have more gray hair than you do by then. So it's already coming in. It is what it is. Once one starts, then here they come. Right? It's stress.
It's like a
all stress from dealing with college.
It's a damn overflow, man, when it starts. Damn.
But yeah, I mean, I do enjoy the ability to still ride adaptively. It's good that they do have this carbon bike thing, and it keeps me active and stuff. And this mountain, but 20 years ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation at all because they didn't have this, look what I can do, Grand Canyon McAfee, this, $4,000 off-road Go Grit Spartan chair, Freedom chair, but Spartan chair edition. They use them for. So anyway, as far as the horizon, yeah, I just thought about that. Summer's not done yet. I got to get this backrest shipped to me. I actually broke the backrest because it's single strength, single walled steel, and the handles were pushing on it so hard, beating it up on that hike that I broke it, and now they're going to send me the reinforced one, which is double wall thickness, and that's going to come next week. But yeah, I'll give it a shot here with the Spartan thing. I did one Spartan actually just a few hours before I flew to Portland to start my cross-country ride in 2016 on the Pacific Coast in Astoria, just a 2-hour drive from where the Goonies was filmed, by the way. 2-hour drive from Portland. But at any rate, that Go Grit chair is, I get with the Spartan thing. I did do one. The guy, it was, I did beginner. I didn't do elite, but I got third, out of, I don't know, 1,500. I did really well. I was tempered in the heat. My endurance was there.
Yeah.
Endurance is endurance. If once a runner, always a runner. And it was the one that's at Palmerton at the, whatever they call that, Blue Mountain. And, I did really well, but that was the only one I got to do.
That's a great statement. Once a runner, always a runner, because I just quick thought of that Michael Woods from Canada, who is crushing it on the Tour de France right now. And he's an ex-runner. You know of him, right?
I heard the name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy transition to make from what happens with a lot of runners is I'm not the only person. I ran in college. I got patellar tendonitis. And once I started doing, in high school, I didn't have a problem, but we were doing 50-mile weeks. We did 100-mile weeks in college. We're doing 2-a-days, ton of miles on the road. I'm bow-legged. I start getting patellar tendonitis. And the only thing that's going to work with that is time. And, my senior year, I always rode. I always biked to commute to jobs and stuff. And grandfather brought me up in a world of cycling he would ride 20 miles a day. I would go well into his late 70s. I would go with him as a kid and stuff. But, I jumped on the road racing scene in the spring of 2007, my senior year. And I was hooked. I got the bug. I rode mountain before, and I did some road rides, but I probably did 50, 60-mile rides, maybe a little more, before I started racing. But I jumped on the ECCC collegiate scene. I was just doing like C and D races, but I'm a climber. I can't sprint that well out of a paper bag, but in those days, I was doing the climbs, I was crushing it, and that it's by choice to do Haleakala and ride that 36-mile climb uphill, because once you realize that climbing's your thing and you're into it, that became life. So these Dutch wheelman rides were just crushing, nothing but climbs. You do a century with 8,000 feet strictly in this county, and not doable at all in a hand cycle. But I mean, climbs are something that was my forte. It is what it is. But as far as the horizon, this chair has these, logos on it, like the Spartan helmet thing. This chair is meant that you can adaptively do a Spartan race with assistance, and it's got things that there's tie down points on it that if you need to use ropes to get the people over it. So I would say I would do one, but at least one. I'll try one here in the summer, but I'm coming from a little bit of it. And I have a friend in Wilkes-Barre that's elite. She does, she's very good. She does all the elite ones and stuff, but it's coming from a different angle because I wouldn't want to do that many, because you can't just take away from the fact that you still would remember what it was like to do, as anything in life, do that stuff, able-bodied and stuff. And, I wish I could have helped more on that Grand Canyon hike, but I did all I could to, I could have just sat there, but I cranked those things over ever water. They would wheelie it. They'd wheelie it. Jesse would wheelie it in the back. They'd pull it with the rope and get the back tires that they were touching the water barrier. And then I would crank those handles and help get it over every one. And whenever there was a section where there wasn't water barriers, I would do it on my own. I said, I don't need your help. Don't touch the chair. I can do it myself. So, I'll try my hand at a Spartan or two with this chair. That's what it's for. And, there's some other, gonna try to get, more towards the fall. Never was a summer hiker. You don't have airflow. You sweat so much. This from hiking. Me and Jimmy did weeks, a week section 3 years in a row between Christmas and New Year's. It's great to be out there in the cold, down coat, really good 0-degree bag, got the right equipment. I used to say to these kids, it's cold out. I said, spent a week outside with no source of heat and it didn't go above 20. What do you think of that? They're like, how'd you survive? I was like, I don't know, but it did. Well, I got the right stuff. And obviously that's funny, but because we're coming a little soft in society here with that stuff. But I mean, I do prefer, I did do I was really good after, what can this chair do for you? Well, after 4 years, besides the Grand Canyon, after 4 years of, the winter of 2015, so I guess it was 5 years, the Christmas break of 2015, we hiked our last section on the trail. And oddly enough, about 50 miles trail north of McAfee Knob was the southern terminus of where I finished hiking at the James River. And we actually, if we would have stuck it out another day or 2 days, we would have ended up at McAfee. And then the northern end of what I've completed is Kent, Connecticut. So 1/3, 700 the whole thing, James River to Kent. But point being, the chair allowed me to get back on the trail, and went with a friend that was willing to give me a hand. We drove up to High Point, where that obelisk is, High Point, New Jersey, highest point in New Jersey.
Yeah.
1,800, something like that. But we went and did some AT hiking there, and then skipped down to Wawayanda State Park, found a section that wasn't too bad. And there is no Purple Lizard map adaptive sections of the AT. I'm trying to make this a reality for more people like myself, but
that's a good
water
idea.
barriers, there's not much of the trail that you could do with the chair. You could never do the whole thing with the chair. It's insanely rocky, Katahdin. Nobody's going to be in a chair sitting at that sign at Katahdin. If it could be done, I would have already done that. So the answer to that is no. But I also don't really like to do sections that I was never like this. When did you go back? Yeah, Pinnacle 10 times. Who hasn't? But when would you go back, and did you do any repeat sections before you were hurt? No, other than the Pinnacle, because we just wanted to keep moving. I was somebody that wanted to sectionally hike the whole thing. There are still some new sections that I could do, especially down in Virginia. I had a taste at of that with where it runs congruent with like the Creeper Trail, which is in Damascus. I went down to see John. I went another 2 hours south or whatever it is about that to 2 hours from Blacksburg to Damascus. Damascus is like the mecca of all trail towns on the AT. Incredible, absolutely incredible. Trail outfitters, about 3 of them in town. You could walk in the store, you're gonna pay retail price, but you could walk in the store and say, I don't know anything about hiking. I don't have squat. I want to hike the AT. Everything you need in the store. People passing through town, they need to resupply, and they have the Creeper Trail there. And in the summer, they get crushed with these rentals. I looked in this room and I took a picture. I went to this place that was a rented bikes and trail outfitter, everything. I went into this room and I looked through this room and I said, how many bikes do you have in there? Like, it looks like about 300. He said, yeah, about 350 or something. And I think it was 300. It was 300. And I said, you're renting all those out in the day, aren't you? He said, oh yeah. So the Creeper Trail, super flat, gravel thing, town to town. I forget, it's like 15 miles. And he said, they rent them for like half a day and then they'll rent them again. They'll double rent their entire fleet of bikes out of this shop. They'll rent 600 bikes out in one day, one shop, 300 bikes, double rent them. So I didn't even know about this. So again, cycling community, something that you're probably thinking, like you said, wow. But anyway, Virginia has a pretty decent amount of offerings. I'd like to get back down when it's not as warm in the fall or whatever. That's when they're really booming anyway.
Where does John live now these days?
John lives in Blacks, just outside of Virginia Tech, which is Blacksburg, Virginia, way down 81. You think Roanoke's far? Keep going. So way down 81. So
some he gets up here a lot for that travel, but that guy can travel, huh? Because he races all over. Where you're at. We hosted a nighttime mountain bike race over at Bear Creek, which used to be Dome Mountain, over by Allentown. And it was last summer, and the race didn't even get started till 9 o'clock. And I'm looking around, and all of a sudden Ryan DeWald and John DeLong show up and both raced in it and got like whatever, second or third. That was And I didn't realize he came that far.
Yeah, that Blacksburg's about a 6-hour drive from where you're at. It's 81 for the rest of your life, and but it's all it is. Step one, get on. I like when people use GPS stuff, and it's like in 5 billion miles. The thing about 81 is like not 81, but just GPS use in general on highways. You're driving down the road, you pass an exit, and it says keep left to stay on 81. Pretty sure I wasn't going to turn unless you told me to turn. But that's something that they started doing because, come on, man, you're not going to sugarcoat it. Like this cell phone, GPS technology, the stuff is making people dumber, especially younger people. And, imagine, seeing pictures of Steve Speaks and shows old school photos. They're training, getting ready for Manayunk. He won the KOM on Manayunk before. He's tremendous in the late 80s, early 90s. And he, they're looking at like paper maps. I have a paper map of every road in Berks County, and I used to carry it with me when I rode years ago. And now we have all this technology. Well, the technology is great. But if I take this thing, I'm going to pretend like I'm going to do this. I'm holding my phone. Whoop, it just threw it in the river. You just dropped it. See you later. Yeah. You know where you're going? You know how to get around? Moss about the north side of the trees, sunsets, this, that. If you need a GPS like every day, this, that, it's no good. So
I was thinking the other day, I was thinking, I'd just like to have a map some days. Because I got all my Element Roam and I'm trying to, download routes and all this other stuff. And I always want to go old school and just look at a map and go, okay, this is going to be my route roughly, put it in my head and then ride. But yeah,
Right. Some people can't even read a map. But my point is, Bald Eagle State Forest, right? No cell phone reception. How are you going to, GPS. You better have that loaded ahead of time. So you got 300 miles of dirt roads in that forest. I have a snowmobile map. It's always with me. It stays in the compartment of the sled. How about every 10 minutes on average, you're cranking, no problem, averaging 50 on a sled. I'll go 100 if I want to, and I have, but you're averaging 50. So you're moving along, awesome winter this year, just ton of riding. Actually was privileged to ride with Jesse right out of Bloom here. And and again, state of emergency, registered and insured. I can go wherever I want. I have picture under the Route 80 exit for Bloomsburg. We rode on Route 80 with snowmobiles this year, legally.
That's awesome.
But the point is, you go out to Bald Eagle there, and you got an excellent map that the DCNR makes. 300 miles of snowmobile trails, the entire state forest map geared specifically towards sleds. They come out with a new one like every other year. They're free. You just go to any of the state parks, grab them, and you got that map. You keep it with you, and about every 10 miles, you come to a 4-way. You're going to be Jack Nicholson sitting there in The Shining, in the snow, frozen to death. If you don't have, that's a big popular like meme thing I have in my mind with just him frozen to death in the snow, because there was a snowmobile that was broke down when we were out there riding, and it was a really new machine. And whether the guy threw a belt, couldn't put it on, it fouled a plug, whatever happened, brand new cars are defective, brand new snowmobiles are defective. Only an idiot would ride in a 300-mile, 1 million acre forest by himself with no reception. You're going to die. You can't 50 miles one direction and you're going to walk out of there. No, you're not. How do you survive? So in a foot of snow. So anyway, needless to say, you never want to ride alone, certainly not with a disability, but we're out there, and every now and then you come across these guys, and they could be older. Paps, they call them paps. They should know better. You're pap. You're supposed to be smarter than the younger guy. You're supposed to be smarter than that guy that's 30 or whatever. And we're sitting there. They're sitting there. We come up to a 4-way. It's dark out or not. Doesn't matter. Still get lost. It's worse in the dark. There's a couple guys sitting there in sleds, and they're kind of like, hey. I said, you guys, they're sitting there, and I'm like, know where you're at? Know where you're going? They're like, nope. Or else they'll start off, and they'll be like, hey, you got a map? I'm like, yeah, where's yours? Not a place to be without a map. You can argue that all day. You're sitting in some residential area. Yeah, you might even be driving, it doesn't matter. You're a goner. If you're out there riding with a sled, whether you're with yourself or other people, you're a goner. If you don't have a map out there, you're a goner. You got to have that
point. Yeah. That's a very good point. You lose cell phone reception, whatever. There's so many things that can happen. Or like when you drop your phone,
yeah, it's all fun and games if you have the phone. What about when you don't?
Your battery life's going to be impacted in the super cold, and people aren't necessarily planning for that.
Right. Bill, when we hiked, another thing, 0 degree bag, right? Turn the phone off, airplane mode, taking in pictures. That's it. Where's that cell phone at? Pop quiz. It goes down to 10 degrees at night when I'm hiking in the winter. Where's that cell phone at when I go to sleep? Where is it?
Better be in the
bag. How do I keep it? It's in the bag. It's in that 0 degree bag. You leave that sucker outside. You leave that sucker outside when it's 5 degrees out. You got 90% battery. You think you're living large. Got that. It's funny nowadays. Our lives are your status of your happiness. I mean, I'm looking nice here at 58, so I'm solid. I got a Motorola with a 5,000 milliamp battery, so I'm good to go. But I mean, it's funny that the status of your happiness is based on the percent level of your cell phone battery. So
I never looked at that analogy, but that's a beautiful one. That's a beautiful.
I know it is, and
it's true.
When
true
you
story, man.
It is true. But you're not. You got to have that knowledge that hiking is hiking. Like you need that phone in case of emergency. You turn that cell phone off, and at night, and that sucker goes in your sleeping bag. You be 90% battery. If it's 10 degrees out, you wake up 8 hours in that weather, battery's dead. You'll kill it. So,
yeah.
But hey, real quick, speaking of which, as far as these, the guys using the Iditarod and stuff, do these, like this 14 amp lithium ion I have here with the Wilma, those, are they engineered that I'm assuming they're more resistant to the cold than like a cell phone would be?
Yeah, so they are. And but still, after about -4 degrees centigrade or whatever, they're just not working as good no matter what you do. So like those guys in the Iditarod are all got the batteries inside their parkas and stuff.
Right, they're insulating the batteries. Yeah, so I mean, you just got to keep that battery warm. They're not meant for that, and I figured that was the case. They're a little better, but a hiking cell phone in your your insulated down coat, what have you, it should always be kept warm as with any battery. But I mean, I think it made that mistake initially a time or two that there wasn't that learning curve. But I mean, once you're used to winter sports and winter hiking, you always want to keep that battery close to your body in the bag with you, only on when you need it. But the map thing is crucial to it's just common sense. Like, you can't be out there relying on something. If that phone dies, whether you're running, driving, biking, whatever, especially in the winter, you can survive. If it's in the winter and you're snowmobiling and you don't have the map and the phone dies, and it doesn't even really matter because the phone would only work as well as,
the reception.
Not so much reception. You can see without the phones have GPS now. You can see where you're at, but you better be able. If you zoom in, unless you loaded it. If you do the thing where you load the map ahead of time before you get in there, such a vast forest, it's going to show your dot. But if you zoom in, it's not going to. So you could go down and say, okay, well, spatially speaking, okay, I'm here, and I can see that I'm here, and there's a T, and I need to go this way or that way. But again, like, I'm also applying like a decent knowledge of general geography to know that if I'm here and I need to go here, that you can't zoom in to see the road, but you see your little blue dot that you need to go that way. And north, south, east, west, cardinal directions. Common kid in college would say, huh? What's that? Hey, check it out. Parking lot, right? Whoop, wrong way. Let me flip it real quick. Come on, phone. All right. He's out there sunbathing. So that's a parking lot. It's vacant right now. I'm not going to roll out because the driveway's uphill and show you, but apartment building on the left, 5 student houses on the right. 3 of those houses are sororities. Guess what? cardinal direction, never heard of it. I've lived in this house for 8 years. You know, people enjoy hanging, you know, coming to see the dog and stuff. You know, you got 50 kids. Hold on a second. You got 50 kids in a parking lot that, you know, and they're not all, hold on a second. Nothing like an uphill driveway. Hi, bud. Hopefully the road traffic isn't too bad here. So let me switch this. Hi, Furry. Oh,
What a good boy.
So you got an apartment building here, 3 units, and then you got 5 houses. You can't see all of them. There's one in between this one and that one. Sorority house, another one in between, just some whatever, just those are just ever random people. Another sorority house. There's my truck, another house. So you got 5 buildings. That one down there, there's at least 10 people that live in that house. But amidst this parking lot, parking thoroughfare. But this, you know, there's usually, it's a different place. You know, there's usually 50. They're just doing some maintenance back there now, but I'm going to go back in. There's 50. He likes to come out here and sunbathe. You wouldn't believe that a dog with a black coat would want to be out here laying in the sun.
That's what I'm thinking.
But, so he spends a lot of time out here because he's just kind of like, well, it's an adjustment because all of a sudden there's usually 50 people here and then all of a sudden nobody's here. And he's like, well, where is everybody? Because he's an extrovert like me. He likes to, you know, greet these people, and we don't have an official live mascot. He's kind of like the unofficial one, but a few other people that have huskies in town. But I have a different angle that I can work with. Let me go back in here with a disability because, you know, I did get him certified anywhere. So we actually, let me flip this here. We actually went to the Iditarod to watch it in 2019. No, I lied. 2020, but it was right. It was definitely 2020, but it hadn't really. This stuff had only started when that race occurred last year, and it hadn't yet made its way anywhere near Alaska. Of course, Alaska was one of the last places that had somebody in that got it. I believe it was the last state that had people infected, and you know, of course, that was because of traveling. You know, nobody in Alaska got COVID. People went to Alaska that had COVID. And if you look at what happened in the world, we're not going down that COVID rabbit hole, but everybody, like Guam, people got COVID in Guam. How did people get COVID in Guam? Because people went vacationing in Guam and brought COVID to Guam. Like, you know, you had an opportunity to keep that crap out of Guam. I don't live in Guam. Sounds like a neat place. Maybe someday we'll go. But I mean, I'm not, I would have said
both, that's great. Those are great reference points for me because, you know, as we've talked before, so many Iditarod racers use Lupine. I think I told you, and I think that's the truth. 19 out of the top 30 finishers were using Lupine lights. But when you said Guam, we helped the U.S. government out. They've got a massive brown snake problem on the island. These brown snakes are eating everything. And so they can only be studied at night because that's when they're active. And so they use Lupine lights for their studies. So there's a whole boatload of Lupine lights out there used by United States government and to try to solve this brown tree snake problem. So anyway.
Yeah, that's 1 second. That's interesting. I wasn't aware that that was something that was going on down there. But yeah, I mean,
USGS is working on it.
Okay. Anytime you need lighting, just, you know, this is the way to go. You know, by the grace of God / Ryan, John, you know, we came to this, you know, forefront of having these products available to me. A huge asset to have as somebody that's disabled. And I mean, just something to grab and go. You know, being in a chair. This thing weighs like, I would say it weighs a pound. You know, I'm not going to be some gram weight weenie, and I'm sure you can attest. But it just right. I would say that's right around a pound, maybe 1.2. But that's it. Yeah. And you grab that thing, and you know, you just go, and there was I don't know what I did with it. It must have misplaced it, but I did have the runtime with the booklet on the little booklet on the Penta. But you know, I do have it, I think. But you know, you got some nice you know, stickers and offerings that are in this thing.
So
And
I'm jamming on your idea about just using it as a necklace. That's what I'm doing from now on.
Yeah. So honestly, that was something that kind of happened like by, other than hiking, which you probably would a lot, by like kind of attrition, because like I had this piece of crap that was literally only a 30 lumen light that I had that was believe it or not, I don't know if you ever saw this. You're gonna laugh. Walmart Ozark Trail, the antithesis of this, the absolute junk of junk, right? Ozark Trail, don't ever buy their camping equipment, it's junk. They don't ever buy anything they make. They sell a headlamp at Walmart. I think they still do, because they did like 2 years ago. And I grabbed it just to look at it, piece of junk. They sell a headlamp for $1. And it's like 30 lumens. It takes two like CR20 30. Did you know this? Did you know this?
They sell, dude, I'm so
sell two CR2032 watch batteries that's in this. But the funny thing is, here, pro tip, if everybody overuses that term, but this is one. If you ever need to buy, you go to Walmart, right? And you want to buy a 2-pack, you only need one, but you always have to get that second one. Then, of course, by the time that one butts out on your watch, you don't know where you put it. You lost it. Where do they go? Where do you put that battery? So you got two CR2032 batteries that are most commonly used in almost every watch. And how much is that 2-pack of CR2032s? About $3. Baloney. How are they making any money on this headlamp? They're selling a headlamp for $1 that has 2 of those batteries. Even if you only need the batteries, buy the headlamp. There. Pro tip of the day. So
that's a good one.
You watch battery kick a crap, buy a headlamp. You got 2 batteries for $1, not $3.
Brilliant.
How it's the battery, you can only, now again, what does that tell you? That tells you that you're getting nailed on the markup of these batteries, because and it's the same battery. It might not be Energizer, but it probably lasts 90%. It's the same battery. So you got 2 CR2032 batteries for $3, and then, you know, but you just need the batteries. So just buy the headlamp. You can throw the headlamp out. It's a piece of crap anyway. So
solid point. I love it, dude. I'm wearing this as a necklace from now on, man. When I'm doing anything outdoors, I'm gonna have it with me. That's a brilliant idea.
You feel that? Well, I'm a pioneer. You feel that little bit of like hang weight. Now that Mickey Mouse one Walmart job, it was a little lighter, and this isn't much heavier. But over time, like I actually would have that other thing on my neck before I got this, and whatever, like last year. And I would sleep with it. I would wake up in the middle of the night. I need hands-free lighting, go in the bathroom, whatever. I don't want to fall over. So, you know, but if you do this often enough, just like any type of necklace, if you have it on there a lot, especially in the winter, I wouldn't do it in the summer. Your neck gets sweaty, probably break out. But if you have it on there a lot, you're not going to know. Eventually, you're not even going to know that it's there. Yeah. And then, you know, it's just, here's always the problem. It's not dark out. Then it gets dark. Where's the headlamp? Oh, I left it in the house and I'm not at home. I left it in the car and I'm at home. Blah, 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 blah. So you can make an argument to have 2, but that's stupid.
Beautiful
because
jewelry too. Look at that.
Yeah. Yes. It's like you know, you actually should go down the runway at like a fashion show and be like,
you know that guy Flava Flav? You know Flava Flav?
I know. Oh, yeah, Flav.
Yeah,
the clock. Yeah. The clock. He was saying, come on. What? You know, what was that? Run DMC, right? There you go.
Right.
So OG stuff right there. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, yeah. So this is the wave of the future. Those that are in the know down the road, you know, ooh, look at this dumb move. I actually have it backwards. But down the road, you always got to make sure you have it that you can go this way. So
then you get the you get the front click adapter, and you can click it on the front of your bike or your chair or your helmet.
But,
yeah.
you know, too many people, you know, this, that, my redneck buddies off-roading, you're a dork. You have a, you know, headlamp, but again, hands free. So, you know, every now and then, maybe once a year, get a flat, whatever. I need 3A. I can't do everything like I used to be able to do, obviously, with disability. I can't take that. I can't put a tire on in a chair. I'm going to get it on, and I can't pick it. I don't have core strength. So, but, you know, these guys, like, it wasn't this light, obviously. It was a Princeton light, but like last year, got a flat something, you know, guy comes out and like, he has like one of these light bars. That's like one of those, like, you know, cylindrical, like light bars. And he's, you know, getting the tire off the thing under the truck and he's moving it around, constantly has to move it. If you're looking at what you're working on, and I've been doing this for a long time, really good example of what you can use this for. Well, how often do you use that? Perfect example, not that there's 1,000 uses, we won't go into it, but I've always drove jalopies. I had a diesel bomber, 6.2 Blazer, always breaking down, just crapped out a little bit before injury. But this garage is subterranean, never goes below 50 in this garage. People kill to have a garage in the town, got a nice garage. So the truck's in here, oh, what's going on this time? Broke down, won't start. AAA loses money on me. I towed one time. I had it towed 4 times in a year. You know, other than the membership, didn't cost me a nickel. Must have a premium, not the plus. Everybody, if you have 3A and you don't have the basic, it doesn't. And you know what I meant. If you don't have the plus, it doesn't make any sense. Why did you have the basic? Oh, look, I broke that. Yes, I saved a guy at a bike race in Pittsburgh that I was with him. The engine seized on, it doesn't matter what it was. And I said, we're all the way out in Pittsburgh. We came from Milton. It was the Mapletown JR Petco job. It was like, I said, do you have AAA? And he said, no. I said, as long as you're with, that's all that matters. It doesn't have to be the driver. I said, it's your lucky day. I said, I'm going to call 3A and get this going. We actually used 2 tows because it was like 190 miles. Guy went 100. You got to get off. Got another guy lined up. He was there, pulled in like 10 minutes later, whatever you call it, leapfrog, you know, chain drive, you know, chain gang. Then he gets us home. Total cost $0. So other than the $100 membership, which I got my use out of many times over. So I said, make a phone call, see what that tow bill would be. And he calls and he says, at the same time, when I called for 3A, just to instill him that he needs to get it. And then we stopped for, you know, for dinner or something on the way back. And I said, hey, this meal's on you. He said, oh yeah. He said, no problem. I said,
dude,
how much you think
you nailed it. You got free lunch and it didn't cost you anything
for the towing. Right. So I said, how much do you think this tow would be to get you from Pittsburgh to Milton? It's about, you know, we'll call it 3.5 hours drive. He goes, oh, I don't know, like $300. I said, dude, you ain't even close. I said, try 9. And it was 9 or 1,000. He called a local hook and said, trying to get a tow to Milton. And they said, yeah, that'll be about $950. I said,
he owes you like about a week of meals, man. So
yes.
So that reminds me of a story. Did you ever race with Mark Light on the road?
You know, I don't think
they call him.
Yes. I talked to him at, he won the, Masters at Lower Prov, down there talking to him. Rode the Derby with him many times with Nick and the gang, and
yep.
I think he was always doing like Cat 1 stuff, and I possibly, I don't know if I ever did any races with him, but I did ride with him in the Derby. So the answer is yes.
So you know, he would even take it one step further. He drove for a while some vehicles that weren't even worth towing. So in particular, I remember a story, and he would do this too. He would always, whenever he goes to a race, for a while he wasn't working, you know, that's how we are, bike junkies, you know, won't get to that point in life. And he said he was going to these races and he had no money. And I said, but how the hell are you going to get gas and food? And he goes, well, I got to win. I got to win, bro, or I ain't eating.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So he has this old junking Dodge. I think it was his brother's car. It was an old big ass Dodge. and he goes down to the Jeff Cup, the Jefferson Cup. You know that race? And so he
Yeah, I heard of
drives
it.
down there from Lebanon, you know, he goes down there and he gets in a race, wins some money, typical lighty, went no money in his pocket. So then he's coming back and the car dies. Well, you know, he doesn't have AAA or anything. So he's like, no, this car ain't worth it. So he just leaves it on the side of the road and rides his bike from somewhere down in Virginia all the way back to what we had Tuesday night ride, which is now it used to be Wednesday Night Worlds. You guys have a midweek crit race, right? Informal somewhere around there.
Yeah, GB30. Excuse me.
So he rides. Yeah. He's got a little backpack. He rides all the way from Virginia, makes this 5:30 race start time or 6 o'clock. Won the race and then rode home with us from, you know, downtown Lancaster or whatever, all the way back to Lebanon, and kicked our asses in the race and then kicked our asses all the way home. And that just reminded me of that story because he's like, I don't need AAA. If the car dies, it just stays. Anyway.
That was circa like what year do you think that was? 90s?
Late 90s, 2000 maybe.
So he would have, I mean, what's he about? 45 years old these days?
I think he's 50. I think, in fact, I know he's at least 50 because I think 2 years ago or whatever, he won the 50 to 54 national crit championship.
Yeah, low 50s. If 50 plus, it would be low. He's probably like 51.
So he's a little older than when you were racing, probably, or
right. So if you knock off 20 and then another. Yeah, so it was probably like half his lifetime ago. He was, when this stuff was happening that you mentioned, he was probably like, you know, say in 95, he was, you know, 25.
Yeah.
So probably, he was probably in his, he wasn't quite, when this crap happened, he was in the late 20s where he was doing this jalopy shitbox, you know.
Yeah. You can't do that anymore, I don't think.
Hey, there's a thing that as far as like fixing cars that like in the dark and stuff. And I was saying like, I trailed off with the Blazer in here always breaking down and stuff. So again, those light bar things, mechanics use them. Screw those light bars. The real guys are in the know, not only headlamps, but hey, how about it? Lupine. So this guy, you know, I had to have some plumbing done. Those guys are in the know. Master plumbers, the guys over here, 2 of them helping me out with something with the boiler, craps out. They got headlamps. But these mechanics, I don't know what their deal is. A lot of them don't have them. So I'm laying under the truck for hours at a time. You know, I'm rebuilding this, that, you know, working on stuff underneath there. But, you know, the flex plate chewed up, got it back, the transmission off, you know, but I'm under there, I'm laying on my back, I'm working under the truck, always with a headlamp. Like, it doesn't matter that you're at home. Every time you're looking up and you're trying to work on something and it's a foot above your face. You got that lighting right where you need it. That light bar thing is stupid because you constantly have to move it. My head's here, my light's here. I can look every which way. Now I look like a retard. I can look every which way, and you know, I can you know, always have light wherever I'm looking.
Here in Gretna, we have power outages all the time. So I keep this baby close by because, I mean, what are you going to do?
So, like, blah, blah, blah. You know, again, the light, the plug, the hunting, fishing, like, okay, you're reeling this fishing. And it's a big catfish. You're at your cousin's pond. It's, you know, we're kids with some kind of like, you know, not an old school like gas thing, but some kind of Coleman battery lantern. But that light doesn't project light. Lanterns are stupid. They don't project light towards what you're doing. If everybody's sitting there at a campfire and you all have a headlamp on, and then something goes scurrying by, like, oh, hold on, let me see, what was that? Oh, it's a lemur. Oh, it's a grizzly. Hey, at least you got to see him before he killed you.
Yeah.
So anyway, you know, you're not going to see crap with a lantern. They're fine for sitting on like a table in a you know, fly net tent, like a table, people sitting around eating or something, having a meal in the dark or something, car camping, you know. But I mean, if you need to see what you're doing, you know, so let the light bar, the lantern, let's constantly move this thing all over the place. So, you know, again, still into fishing, still into hunting, you know, and with the disability, you got to have it. I can't, like, you know, I need my hands, whatever, more than people that can use their legs. And, I need the light and headlamp, whatever. But fishing, hunting, you're walking. There's more guys that hunt that have them. They're walking in the dark to get to their spot. More guys that hunt. Fishing, I don't see it as much as I should. And then just, again, there's a million uses. But, I mean, it's so simple. And, it's, the wave of the future, again, maybe 10 years from now, you'll be walking down the street and it's like, everybody's like, those that are in the know have headlamps, they're Lupine, and only those that are really in the know rock that thing on their neck. It's there all the time. Yeah, so there you go. It's like, it might be 10 years down the road and you see, 50% of America walking around like, oh, this guy knows what's up. Hey, see that necklace? Also, nice necklace. Looks like you have half a clue. So
it does. It does make me look a little smarter. I will admit.
Yes, it's almost like the guys that like have like a doctor's ready to like, or like the guy that's walking around with like ready to weld at any weld at a moment's notice. Here comes the shield.
True.
How about a guy with a welding helmet and a headlamp? That is MacGyver personified. So anyway, I just think that it's huge beneficial product to have for anybody, especially in my case. Whether it's this one or the other one, this is more user friendly. But out on the road, you want to have something a little better. You can the flash, of course, helps, but you can just around the house. Power goes out. Anything you're working on, I love when people nowadays, again, the kids
looking for ticks on your dog, man. Right.
Right. Again, because you need your hands. Got it. Exactly. Good point. Thick coat. Need to use your hands to look around for the ticks. Where's the flashlight? It's in your hand. How you gonna? You can't.
Got so many deer hunters in Pennsylvania, well, all over the world, but I mean Pennsylvania, and so you're going back to your stand or whatever. You need the red. Deer cannot see the red.
Okay, good point.
And so it gets you back in, and you don't lose your night vision. Get up in your stand, and you're ready to go.
I actually didn't know that. You taught me something today because, okay, let me think about this. They can't see color. I know that.
They can't see red light then. Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. Brother-in-law's a warden. He would know these things, but, no, that's a good point. And just for when you're trying to be covert, I mean, I'm not advocating any kind of crime, but look at law enforcement. Look at somebody that has to you can legally obtain property. If somebody steals my bike or whatever, steals anything that belongs to me, and I find it at somebody's house and I want to get it back and be covert about it, I'm using the red. If I was using the white and it was me and somebody tried to, steal something off my porch with a white light, I'd open the door and be like, yo, dude, you got to get with the times, brother. Let's rock some red lighting here. I wouldn't have seen you coming trying to steal a bike off my porch, but you weren't enough. And your cheap ass, if you're a criminal, hey, get Lupine. I don't.
Yeah, but we have a lot of let's call them like bootleg trails around Mount Gretna, and sometimes they go through houses and stuff like that, or around houses behind. We got a lot of weird housing and trails and.
I get it.
Yeah, so you want to be red, right? You want to be stealth. You don't want to be lighting up the forest. You want to be stealth. You don't want anybody to know you're back there, man.
Bill, there's also a section that's not terribly far from where you're at in the Cumberland Valley Cooperative is that roughly 60-mile section of the AT that is on private property. And, you're not allowed to sleep in that. I'm sorry, it might be 30 because obviously you'd have to sleep at some point. I think you have to get off the trail. We hiked all that. There's a section there. No, I lie. It's not that far. It might be 20, but we were in that position where we didn't start in the middle of it. We started outside of it and we couldn't make it out of it. And, we just kind of stealth camped and didn't get caught, but there's a section of the trail that's 20 to 30 Cumberland Valley Cooperative. You're actually not allowed to camp at all in that section. And whether you have to get off the trail or whatever whatever you got to do. But, you know, with the red, you know, and we did have, it wasn't this, but I had one that had a red, you know, your covert. And even if you're like 200 yards away in the woods, we had a guy that was with us that hadn't gone with us before. He didn't have the red. He bonked. He was a bigger guy. He couldn't, it's not, he was just a more muscle bound guy. He couldn't hike as far. So he didn't want to go as far. We made it to like a road crossing to use our hammocks, like on these posts or whatever. And like we were watching him, and he set up like on some Mickey Mouse trees he could find that really didn't work that well in private property. And he had the white light on, and then like 200 yards away, there's a house. And he turned the light off because the guy must have known he was out there in his property. And he turned the light off, and the guy didn't find him. He got pretty close, but we can see this from a distance. We see his white light. Then we see another white light, and this guy's coming to hunt him down. And then he turns the light off. But the only reason that the guy even knew he was out there was because he had the white, you know?
Yeah.
So,
you know, these guys, do you ever hear of adventure racers? That's a big thing. Like the United States Adventure Race Association, they race all over the place. A lot of times they're ex-military people, but they mountain bike, they canoe, they hike.
Yeah.
And they got to find little, right. And so when they get out in front through the whole course of cover, it's like, you know, eco challenges everywhere. It's like an eco challenge sort of. And this goes on all over the place, and usually 4-person teams or 5-person teams. Lupine has a lot of teams. But yeah, oftentimes when they get out in front and they're zeroing in on a mark or a target, they don't want to be seen by the other teams because, you know, it was hard finding that thing. So they'll go to stealth mode. They'll go to red, and you can't see it from that far off. So you can't see the people. You lose them, and they're like, shit, where'd they go? So you can't follow their lead.
Yeah, so that, you know, they're not, you know, they don't know how far, because you always have that advantage. You don't know how far away they are. You know, I'll be honest with you. I haven't gotten a chance to try the red with the hand cycle. You know, I'd have to go somewhere that was like pitch dark, or pitch dark with the chair. You know, we got some city lighting.
You can see pretty decent
at
a speed.
And, you know, right. Yeah. Not
I'd be
much
anxious to hear that.
The advantage.
Did you check runtime out yet on just the basic without any add-on runtime?
This guy?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I unfortunately, I'm looking for it now. What is this? Is this it? Hold on, I might have it. No, this is something else. Unfortunately, not lost. It's around somewhere. Went into I call it the abyss. So whenever you lose something and it's in your house, but it has to be somewhere, that place is called the abyss. Went into the abyss.
Yeah, I've got a lot of shit in there right now.
Yeah. Well, when you find it, you let me know.
Find it again. I may never find some of that stuff again.
Yeah. So, you know, but the Penta booklet went into the abyss, and luckily, pre-abyss, I was able to familiarize myself as it displayed with all the features of the, you know, holding it in for the special modes feature. But anyway, I don't know what happened to it, but I was curious to see if I could locate it to comment on to your question on the run times, because usually the books are, you know, they've studied these things. They're not trying to get jammed up for false advertising. I mean, yeah, no, I mean, it on 600 lumens, it's only a little over an hour. Of course, you have that option to hook up a battery pack with the adapter, but you know,
all that stuff's online. I just don't have, obviously, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I have the book. I don't know what it is, but nobody's offering any better than that anyway, because that Princeton Tech thing takes 4 AA's, of course, rechargeable, Duracell, like 300 milliamp or something, but on those AA's, but those batteries, you know, that Princeton Tech 5 or 550, you know, that wouldn't even last that would probably only last like 45 minutes on that full bright setting. But as far as runtime goes, like, you know, when you're cranking that thing and it's only like, I think your basic is like, and actually the other thing is when you go, so just real quick, it's not like it's that bright. I'll just shine it here. So you got that, and I think that's like 100. But then if I hold this in and I go into special modes, which it should right now, so that's less. So there you go. You can see it's less. So that's only like a 30 lumen offering more than enough for when you have no
And
light.
then that boost goes all the way up to 1100 lumen.
Yeah, and that's
roughly.
as I believe. That's when you turn it on, right? And then do you have to be in special modes for the boost or not?
I don't think so.
So right now, let's
That
try
looks
it.
like 1100 there. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Let's try it in special mode. So now it's in special mode. So I believe boost is when you hold it in. So let's see if it goes to boost in 1100. No, it doesn't.
It off.
So this is regular. So boost, I believe that's not boost because that's just when you first turn it on. Boost, I believe, is when you hold it. Let's see if ambient's brighter. Hold it in. No, that turns it off. I forget about the boost. Yeah, the boost is, but you're right. The boost is now it's in special mode.
And you can go on our website, lupinenorthamerica.com, and you can look at the Lupine light test, which is right at the beginning on the landing page. And you can look at the Penta's light, and you can look at all the 1100, the boost, the red, and then you can also compare it against like car headlights and any of our other lights. So that's pretty cool too. That's a cool feature of the website, and it really gives you a good idea of the light throw, the beam pattern, and what it really looks like.
I just remembered, boost is a double tap. So right now when I turn it on, I don't think you can do special modes with boost. Maybe, let's see. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
So when you do, if you turn it on and you're here, and I do double tap, it's going to whack it from, I believe this is like say 1, 3, 456, and then I'm going to go back down to, hold on, not trying to blind anybody. So that's back down to like 1. So if I go bang, bang, there you, that was,
Double click it.
Right. Now I'm going to only leave it there for a second. And in about 7 seconds, that's going to defer back to probably 100. It should drop. There it goes. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. So whenever you're on any mode, so again, say it was 1, 3, 456. So that's 6. If I go double tap, it did it. So it gets, I'm gonna turn it off now. But yeah, you do a double tap and then you give that boost. So again, a unique feature, if you need that quick extra thing, what is that? I think that's a buck with, I can't tell if that's a spike or what is that? You're trying to identify something, wildlife. It's neat to see wildlife in the dark. Little spooky when that happens and you're not expecting it. I didn't care about that thing, but I throw the Wilma on and I'm like, it's on like 600. I whack it to 32 because the thing's like 50 yards out. I'm like, what is that thing? Looks like what is that, a lemur? And anybody that's really into nature and stuff got to have a headlamp or something. But I think that's the purpose of that. Correct me if I'm wrong, because like you got that and you're just rolling around and all of a sudden you just calmly, you're working at an economical mode. When you first turn this thing on, of course, when that's about 100, I think, but when you're in, turn it off quick. When you're in special modes, your low end, of course, is only about 30. So this light on the lowest light setting, I don't need to look at the book. I can tell you right now, it's about a 30-hour runtime on just that little like 20, 30 lumen guy. Lasts a long time. So, but if you're out and you're just rolling around like general use, walking the dog, you're still seeing, just some schmo walking around, walking the dog, and all of a sudden you see something and you're just at 100. You can go right from 100 to 1,000 and just go, what was that? Ready? Bam, bam. Just that double tap. What was that thing? And then it'll, it doesn't.
And then you got your hands free again because it'll stay on for like 20 seconds or whatever, and then
it's up 15, something like that. Yeah. But you can just quick check it out. But even for like the other light, like deer spotting and stuff like that. Like as far as we did this, the first time I was actually able to use the light outside was when we were driving to the North Rim. We got there in the dark, and I'm in the passenger rear seat of a rented pickup truck, and they're driving, and I'm just looking my head out the window, and I'm like deer spotting with the the Wilma on 32, and that's neat. And then the other thing is when you're using that, you can in my case, if I was driving, I could probably go out and do it tonight. I actually haven't done this yet. we have, you get in the northern section between up towards north of Benton, going up to Red Rock. State Game Lands 58 is the most remote state game lands. It's the largest tract of state game lands. SGL 58 is 56,000 acres. That's the largest state game lands section in Pennsylvania. I can get there in 35 minutes from my house. And as far as spotting goes, you can't spot during the 2 weeks of rifle season, but outside of that, you can spot year round till 11 p.m. So again, let's talk about the disability thing super quick. So I'm driving. I got my hand on the wheel and my hand on the gas. How do I hold the spotlight? I can't.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm driving uninjured with my right hand and I have some type of light I'm holding out the window, that's something I can do. And again, the Wilma, I can drive with the Wilma while because when you're spotting and you're in motion, you're looking to the side. You're only going 20 miles an hour, so your peripheral is still enough to see straight, but you're looking to the side. You got the headlight, and the other thing is, real quick, you got this thing, and this is something this is something different that's coming to the table, because I'm talking about deer spotting with a disability. So you're driving, and you can turn and kind of drive and be at that 30-degree angle and spot while you're driving, but you can also just give it a little bit of this action, right?
Oh yeah, like it.
So you're another pioneer.
Yeah,
something like that. Wait, so
good stuff.
How you do it? Well, I don't know if you're this guy or this guy, but I guess on this coast we have to be this guy. Yeah. So, but you're driving, and I did do this, I think, one night, not so much around here, but just to try the light out. So you're driving, and I need both my hands, gas and steering, and I can spot with this thing while I'm driving, and it's more than bright enough at 32. I can do that. So I mean, me personally, I don't know how you are with, you're probably more of a guru on the battery subject, but I do have some electronics knowledge from work. I worked at this is archaic now. Kids won't know what this is in 5 years, but there was a Radio Shack about 2 miles from where I'm sitting, and I worked there 1 year in college for a whole year. And I rode to work, came back in the dark, and was fine. I had lights and stuff. But as far as the battery thing goes, I personally, this was fully charged when you gave it to me. I'm a firm believer when it comes to batteries. Like, sometimes I see people with their phone and they're worried that, like, oh, I got to plug my phone in. It's at like 40%. I'm like, if you do that every time, that battery, it doesn't have a memory, but you can only charge a battery so many times, whether it's 1,500 or 2,000, doesn't matter. But everything has a shelf life. So me personally, that Wilma's at 40%. I don't care. I could go down to the grocery store tonight and use it for a half hour. I know it's going to get me down there and back. And maybe tonight, after I use it in the evening, I'll charge it. But I'm all about not charging any battery, lithium or not, until it's down to like that 10, 20%. You don't want to run it dead, but you generally want to always charge fully and then decharge almost completely and then charge fully. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point of having that smart charger that comes with that Wilma, because we talked about that. It goes into that trickle charge mode, and
I grab it here for you.
It's just kinder and gentler on your lithium ion battery for sure.
Okay, Bill, I'm not going to lie, I didn't have a chance to use it yet. So here's your charger. Now this actually you have to use this because this gets you to the correct plug that you're using.
Correct.
But so this, what is this guy? I touched on it in reading the book, but this guy is ultimately giving you the ability to, you got some resistors in there, it's going to charge it at a more,
kinder and gentler rate.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And then it'll trickle charge at the very end.
Right. So because it's charging it right at a more, at a metered, kind of like a battery tender at a more metered level, that it's taking it's taking that power, it's taking that 110 that's coming into it, and it's charging it at a gentler rate. And what that's doing by you incorporating that middleman with those resistors is allowing you to charge the battery more efficiently and effectively, that it's going to prolong the life of the battery, if I'm correct.
Yes. Very
Okay.
good, man. I like it.
Radio Shack did something for me. So I think that
That's right. People are going to forget about them. They were in you could go into the smallest little shopping mall in the most remote place in upstate New York, and there'll be a little Radio Shack in there.
That was the place, man. We had, we had one in the mall, and we had one that was in just on the outside of town here. And there's actually a gun store in there now, which is hilarious. It was in a strip mall. There's a gun store in there now. But, this, the knowledge of that stuff, you would go in there and, Walmart has decent offerings now for sure. But, the Shack, man, used to call it, people that work there, Shackies, like, the Shacky guy. And you go there and, they got everything that you would want to have as far as just, 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch whiz bang audio adapters. If you're an audiophile and you were a whatever 90s baby in your 80s Mercedes, that song stuck in my head. If you're an audiophile and you're in the know, you went to the Shack. Now, if it's something that was Joe Schmo that you could get at Walmart, then you would go there. Because here's what did kill Radio Shack besides the Walmarts and the online. Amazon killed it for sure. There's another thing that killed it. The other thing that killed it is they were overpriced. If it was a hard to find item and you wanted it today, you could drive 2 miles to that store and you could get it. But if you didn't need it today, and Amazon's going to kill everything, and it is what it is. But I mean, it wasn't just the fact that online ordering, eBay, Amazon hurt the Shack. They were also overpriced, But if you wanted it today, you can grumble about it. But you know what you can't change? You can't change the price. You can complain about the fact that it's $7 for that cable that you could get online for $3, but you want it today, or do you want it in a week from now? What's your time worth? How much money or time did you lose? So
that's the key variable. Time is money.
But time is money. But the thing is, this, I'm going to take this off for a second. This, actually I got this at the shop. What does it say? Life's great. Riding a bicycle makes it better. And I always like to wear like bike shirts when I'm traveling. It actually has the Dutch wheelman on the back of it. You can see it's kind of different logos.
Yeah.
Life's great. Riding a bicycle makes it better. And you know what's funny? That orange frame. I had a commuter bike I rode from my house to work for 5 years, 1 mile flat. I had bar end shifters. I had a 1982 Schwinn Latour, I think a Latour 2. It was I gave it to my buddy to ride to commute in Philly. He has it down there. It's got skip tooth cassette on it. The top 2 cogs have a skip tooth.
Those are great. Good.
But that bike had those. It had bar end friction shifters, and in those days, not today because of Walmart and the Huffy buyout. Schwinn was Schwinn. Schwinn is no longer Schwinn, but and they were guys riding the Tour. Did Merckx ride Schwinns? I think he did at one point.
Yeah.
So that was a good bike. That was a good bike. It wasn't the racing bike. It was a step down, but it was a 1982 Schwinn Tour. Never let me down. I rode that thing to work for 5 years because it was a commuter. I'm not going to ride a $4,000 Cannondale in the rain to work. So, and it's only a mile. Once in a while, nice day. The guys at work used to call it the Cadillac. Oh, you brought the Cadillac today. Yeah. So
kind of a misnomer, but they didn't know any better. It's like, it's really light and shit. So it's not necessarily.
It's true. They just meant as far as that it was high end, but it is a misnomer. So you're going to have that all the time, man. It's so interesting to talk to other people in the cycling community that just think it's hilarious when you tell some of these stories. And it's like, a cross country ride. Like I did a big live thing just like a year or two ago and I just kind of memory dumped and looked at my trip, Facebook.com/, no punctuation, Facebook.com/Jared's Ride, JAREDSRIDE. And, or you can just put in Jared's Ride in the search bar. But, that has everything from the day one of the trip, the injury, the whole thing, and then going back out. And, day 19, blah, 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 with the paragraph for that day. Day 19 was, 4 years in the making in October of last year when I went out and finished it as best I could with the hand cycle to the Ocean City.
For those people out there that you want to know about it, you can go on to your Facebook, Hank Fensty, FENSTY. And you can see a lot of good stuff about the story. I mean, it's a hell of a story. I mean, we didn't even get into that. If you want to check it out, it's awesome. I urge you all to do it. It's been very inspirational.
Hell of a ride,
man.
Yeah.
But you had a hell of a day. That 18th day going to the 19th. Holy shit!
That was a long day. That was a 4 year. That was 4 years. That was a long break. Day 19. Well, 4 years. I'm back. I knew this spot. I actually started riding within 10 feet of where I was impacted because I knew where the spot was. Because again, this is for the history lesson. It's in the record, whatever. It's in the book. So chronicled on the memory dump that had to be done. Because I mean, to do all this stuff and then go back out and then not so much the emotions, but just I don't think I would have been ready for it in the first 2 or 3 years. And I wanted to do it the previous fall. Some things got in the way, but I got out there, and then I got out there, and I was with Jesse from Salt Lake to Sioux City. He had to go home, and I had the rental car, and a guy. I crossed my arms in Sioux City, and I said, you know what? I said, I met with the nurses, and again, COVID, right? My cousin's a doctor. He's he lives out there. I was actually supposed to ride into Kingsley, Iowa. I was about 20 miles from my destination when I got hit, and he said, that's in northwestern Iowa, as is Sioux City. They're all suburbs of Sioux City. I was hitting Hinton, which is near Sioux City. But when I went out there, I said, I'm going to try to go to the hospital or call them to see if I can meet the nurses. I was in the hospital for a month, and he said, don't bother, with COVID. They're not going to let you do that unless you have to be there. Once again, that's a challenge for me. I said, buddy, you got the wrong guy. I said, you don't understand my drive and what I did, to get here, and I'm here now. So I reached out to them, and there wasn't a problem. I went in, temperature thing, blah, blah, blah. They had a room off to the side in the front, and they all had masks on and stuff. But most people say, oh, well, during COVID, you can't go to the hospital unless you're sick or you're like that one person that can see that. Nah, not this guy. So all the nurses, there's about 10 of them or whatever that I was under their care. They set it up ahead of time. The marketing lady made me sign it. They publicized it a little bit in their Facebook page and said, this is what personal care looks like. I think I was I was in that hospital. I was the second longest that anybody stayed in that hospital. And it was the bureaucracy of trying to get me back. I was probably stable enough to leave after 2 weeks, but they're not just going to let you, hey, see you later. Let me hop in a car and just, drive home. So I got a, specialized Angel Med Flight thing that because of the charity ride, the Med Flight company, that's a $30,000 flight. I got it for nothing. If I wouldn't have did that ride specifically for Pete's sake, Cancer Respite Foundation, I might still be sitting in that hospital. No. But what I would have done was, the insurance is all about a term that we call medical necessity. It's not a medical necessity that I rehab in Philadelphia or that I'm close to my family. You would say otherwise from an emotional and mental health standpoint, but they don't see it that way. Insurance sucks. So they said, we'll pay for you to go to the rehab in Sioux City that's next to the hospital. But spinal cord injuries are so specific. Geisinger is a huge hospital, blows the doors off anything you got in Reading. I think it's even bigger than Lehigh Valley, but Geisinger and Danville would even tell you that other than the acute care, when you're stabilized, you might be there for a week or two. When it's time to rehab for an SCI, that's everybody's in the know an acronym that's injured, spinal cord injury. But when it's time to rehab for that type of injury, you have to go to a specialized rehab. You know, you have to. They don't have the means, you know, blah, blah, blah. So McGee's a great place. I got flown there. But, you know, I did the thing with the nurses. But when I was in there with that Sioux City thing, I'm out there and I'm here now. You know, we did a road trip. You know, we saw the Badlands, Mount Rushmore. Got a profile picture there, me and the dog, Mount Rushmore. So the dog's along for all this too. So flew out with Salt Lake to us. You know, we're just on the road for about a week. Old Faithful, didn't see that when I rode through Yellowstone because I was on the south side. No, I was on the north side. That's in the south way across the park. And, you know, we did, Jesse does Loaded Jaw, 200-mile longest sanctioned race in the country, 200 miles. Logan to Jackson Hole. And again, I didn't realize that until like a while ago. So Logan to Jackson, low to jaw. Speaks did it I think he got second one year. He did it back in the heyday. But so Jesse does the race, finishes near the Tetons. We have the rental. We have this sweet Ford Expedition with a turbo, right? Cranking this thing. So we drive through the Tetons. We drive through Yellowstone because the one goes right into the other. Rushmore, then the Badlands. Stayed with a guy in Sturgis that I was able to stay with. Again, that I stayed with in my original trip because I actually timed. Again, it's really neat to see. You know, when these other people like cyclists do these cross country things, you have to kind of do a little chronicle each day because it's brain overload. It's brain overload. You're out there for 12 hours every day. Come on, riding a bike through Yellowstone. Bison 3 feet from the shoulder. The guy says you're good. They're not going to come after you. An elk ran across the road in front of me. You can't experience Yellowstone properly and in its purest form and the smells and the sights and sounds unless you do it on a bicycle. And when somebody says, "Oh yeah, I rode through Yellowstone. I rode through Yellowstone too," and I'm like, "Oh yeah," and then they consider that like they're like on a motorcycle or else, which I kind of get, but like when somebody drives. This is a cycling pet peeve. When somebody drives, they have to say that they drove. You know, oh, yeah, I rode across the country. Oh, yeah, when did you do that? Oh, back in the 90s. Oh, how long did it take you? Oh, I was out for like a week. No. A bicycle. Come on. Like, use the right term. It's like such a faux pas. I rode across the country. Yeah. Pardon my French, but with your fat ass with your proverbial with the, you know, the driving the old Cutlass with your this isn't Clark Griswold. Yeah, this isn't Clark Griswold. So anyway, but as far as the what did he have on that thing? That is a real car, and somebody actually replicated it. That they had it like a car show, and it was like the I don't remember that whatever that station wagon thing was, but the not the Rambler, the Holiday. It wasn't a Rambler. I forget what it was. But, you know, it'll come to me. But, you know, so I get there and I'm like, okay, like I asked people ahead of time if they wanted to go. And I got there and I'm back out there. You know, we do the road trip. He flies home. I still have the rental. And I made some visitations, whatever, the hospital thing. And, you know, the news did a thing on me and that's on there. Siouxland is the news thing out there because that's the whole area around Sioux City, Siouxland. So I crossed my arms. I was like, you know what? I'll stay here as long as I have to. And I stuck it out there for 2 weeks before my mom finally found a friend that was willing to come out and drive because we're after a different animal here. We're trying to complete a cross country ride with a hand cycle. We got a wheelchair. We got medical supplies, mainly like a bunch of, you know, 6 times a day, catheter supplies and, you know, a shower chair, nothing earth shattering, but things you can't carry on your own. So completely independent before, but I need that follow vehicle to carry the stuff. And so a guy comes out and, you know, we do the best we can. He can do half of it. Another guy takes over, you know, probably ride half of the whole thing, have the welcoming in Ocean City, really put on well by Marcy, the founder, for Pete's sake, you know. Finally got to know what it was like to cross that line, feel that feeling of coming around. You know, Nagy's rode the last day with me, like, you know, it was
that news broadcast was excellent. That when you were coming down the ramp there in OC,
right,
New Jersey, that looked beautiful, man.
yeah, so yeah, it was really neat. Probably at least as many people there, if not more, had I finished it absent an injury. COVID, luckily, that ain't stopping me, and it didn't stop people. Yeah, most people, of course, were responsible and had a mask on and whatnot, but I ain't riding with one on. You can forget that. But there was. I asked the cops, and I said they're good with crowd numbers. The Ocean City Police. I'm like, how many people do you think were here when I finished? Because a lot of them dispersed after like 20 minutes. I said 500. I said, oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah, you're probably right on 450, 500. So that was really neat. It was neat to get. I said I always wondered. I didn't have like a prepared speech. I could have went on. That by now I can do that. But the guy, the mayor, welcomed me with a plaque that he talked. He gave the mic to me for a minute, and I just said, because of everybody coming, I always was in my mind like trying to picture what it would have been like if I finished, if I wasn't hurt, and what would that day have been like? Well, because of her setting that up, and everybody showing up, I said that because of everybody, amidst COVID, being happy to be there for the arrival, all kinds of kids, like. Whatever, people play the hero thing. Like, dude, I'm not a vet. Like, I mean, I guess like I raised 10 grand for cancer the first time. And then the second time I raised another 7. So I raised $17,000 for charity. So, I'm humble about it though. I would still bow down to somebody that's a vet, but it had that feeling like those guys have when they have that homecoming, because as I came over the bridge, I had 2 or 3 fire truck escort,
couple of police
call it
cars
3 fire.
Yeah.
What?
At least 2 or 3 police cars I saw.
Yeah, 2 or 3 fire trucks, 3 police cars, 3 cops on bikes. As I'm going over the bridge, there's all these people that were on the shoulder, kids, signs, this, that, way to go, coming around the turn. And of course I'm rocking it like it's only the last half mile.
Yeah.
And the guy's like going too slow. And I'm like, dude, like I race crits, get that thing moving. I'm like, he realizes at one point, he looks in the rear view and he can't even see me because I'm like this far from, like, buddy, like I race bikes. I still know how to get close, and I can stop if I have to. So, we get up on the boardwalk, but the last, Nagy actually has a video that he took with his GoPro that he had his phone held in his phone for like the last minute. But he also has a bar-mounted GoPro video. I've never seen it. He's out there traveling, Tom. I need to rendezvous with him I need to get a hold of this thing. Not so much to publicize, but just because it was me. I want to see it because it is so much just brain overload. How many people were actually out from the time I started on the other side of the Bay Bridge to the time, how many people were on the shoulder? Hundreds? Besides the boardwalk. So this is in terms of like, he had that GoPro following me. Those are advanced, of course, over the phone. It has that shock absorption thing that it doesn't show all that. And, but yeah, like I'm going downhill and that bike is just like a rocket ship on a descent. John will tell you, Ryan will tell you, you can't keep up with me downhill on that, even if you're a pro cyclist. Because that's from a pro cyclist telling you that. So it's just so prone. Fastest you could possibly go downhill, regular bike, add 5 miles an hour on. So
Wow.
So again, that the reason that I did the Facebook thing was very akin to the positive things of Facebook to chronicle this. Hopefully it doesn't go away. We should probably all think about someday if that happened, how would you get it? I have too much stuff on there that I want to save for this trip.
You're right.
And I mean,
that's the positive aspect of Facebook. It's like a big scrapbook of your life, and
so
try not to get caught up in political commentary. But
no. So you meet.
But
Again,
yeah, make it a scrapbook, and dude, it's valuable to you and valuable to me, and you shouldn't have to worry about anybody else. I'm losing you. My battery's going dead too on our camera in here.
What's that?
Yeah, our batteries are going dead on our cameras in here.
That's fine. I'm going to wrap it up here. I got to wait for this. I'm hitting the decline button on this call. Can you still hear me?
Yes, so we're still good. So we got to get together again, man. Let's.
Oh, yeah.
What do we want to talk about next? What's the next venture? Let's
I
get
don't know.
together again.
I'd like to, your thing is pretty prolific. My Facebook thing, I'd like to go on a little segment about a little more of the trip and kind of go through it a little bit because it was really unique. Not so much the second one, but the first one. But, the only reason I mentioned that thing about the bike thing, I get it. I get into the trip and then I got too far into it. But the thing about the bike thing was as cyclists, we can understand, I go out there, I do all this prolific stuff. I meet the guy that hit me. I went to dinner with him, blah, 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 all this stuff. But when you're out there and you're dealing
dinner with him, wait. You went to dinner with him and stuff?
See, once again, it's so hard that you're even struggling yourself. It's so hard to dip into that. Yeah. So what happened was I got out there and I didn't know what, but I'm there now. I like the area. COVID, didn't have to worry about going to the bars with masks and stuff. No, not closing early. I was sick of Pennsylvania anyway at that time. Who wasn't? Still open till 2, no mask, no population limitations, don't have to order food. I'm an extroverted guy. I take the dog anywhere, anytime. You tell me a place. Here's a challenge for you. Here's one you could do. Tell me a place that you don't think I can take that dog that I'll go. That dog was at the World Series the night Trump was there, and he passes through Secret Service clearance. And then the only time I ever got a hard time in my life, I'm going to spectate a district field hockey game where the Bloomsburg High School won. And I go to this district field hockey game that's at Bloomsburg. And this guy is Barney Fife. He's carrying, but not that matters. He's not a cop. He's just a security guy that works for the school. And he says, "Oh, where are your papers at?" I'm like, "Dude, they're at home. You can't ask me for that. I'm not required to provide them. Actually, Bill, it's illegal for you to ask me. That's breaking the law." And I said, "Dude, you can't ask me for that. I don't carry that stuff." He's like, "Oh yeah, you need papers." I said, "No, I don't. I'm going in to watch." He's like, "Well, you can't. I'll let you watch from up top. You can't go down where the stands are."
You can't do that. You can't ask people that.
Right. And here's the thing, he got a break with COVID because this was before they weren't allowing spectation like they did in the spring. You couldn't spectate unless you were a parent. You couldn't spectate. Well, his day of reckoning is coming because in the fall I can go back to watch things, and I know he's going to be there and he's going to try the same thing. And I would say, "Dude, I'm going to tell you this once. If you want to keep your job, move along and let me through, or I'm going to have a field day with you because I'm not going to tolerate that. That is a service dog. There's signs on the boardwalk no dogs allowed." I went up to the sign before I left after the ride, and if I can do this on camera, I did one of those next to the sign, and my mom took a picture of it. And I went right up to the sign before I left. It said "No dogs allowed in boardwalk." I sit there with my dog, flip the picture off, and no, anywhere, anytime, any place, United States, that dog can go anywhere. And this guy, and this is a punchline. Billy said, I said, "Dude, this dog was at the World Series the night Trump was there and went through Secret Service clearance. I went to watch the World Series game, the last home game they had, Nationals Park. Of course, I was there, $500 ticket with the dog, post injury." And he goes, "I don't care. This isn't the World Series. This is Bloomsburg." And I said, "Dude, there's something wrong with you. You need help." The Barney Fife personified. He was the cousin, the descendant. Barney Fife exists in real life, and I met him that day. So the back to the thing.
I wonder how many young kids know about Andy Griffith's show and Barney Fife.
They don't. I'm actually starting to meet people. Lifelong Stooges fan, have every episode, DVD collection. Grandfather liked them. I'm actually starting to meet kids in college that don't know who the Three Stooges are. How's that make you feel for being old?
Not good.
So all I was going to say as far as so I'm out there, not getting into this for another time, but it's on this thing with the ride page, Jared's Ride on Facebook. So I'm out there. I'm like, we couldn't talk, the litigation, the lawyer stuff. He couldn't talk to me. He couldn't come to see me. I couldn't see him. Guy's actually a really nice guy. People make mistakes. You've taken your eyes off the road. He wasn't paying attention. He wasn't texting. He's just distracted. His kid in the back seat, whatever, turns right as he's turning, whack, freaking 55 miles an hour, cartwheels, whatever, swerves into the other lane. He tells me this when I'm having dinner with him. So I had to go old school. This is old school. He's not on Facebook, none of that crap. He's a farmer. I'm there in the harvest. I reach out. I find the town hall, and then there's Mickey Mouse, Hinton Fire and Rescue. the ambulance is the fire department. So I'm talking to this guy that's like the chief of police, and I say, where's the fire chief? And he says, oh, he's the guy that's the fire chief is also works at the public works department, right? Small town. Yeah. So I go down there and I get out of the truck and I go, is your name so-and-so? And I said, are you so-and-so? And he goes, yeah. And I think he was worried I was going to like blast him because I think he knew who it was. And I said, my name's Jared Fenstermacher. I said, do you know who I am? And he said, yeah. I said, well, you were at the scene and you scooped me up that night. And I said, I talked to him a while. And then, I said, I said, I'm trying to find this guy. He actually was a volunteer. The guy that hit me was actually a volunteer firefighter under that guy's department. And I said, I want to see if this guy wants to meet. And he said, well, I'll get a hold of him and I'll get back to you. And he called me and said, hey, yeah, he'd like to talk to you. He's a really nice guy. He said, it's unfortunate. I said, listen, we don't need to go into that. I said, I never said he wasn't because he stopped. What's his name? The other kid, I can't think, Colorado. Come on. Used to be from around here, track racer, bicycle magazine. He got hit and left for dead. That guy didn't stop. They never found him. That's the end of that. He made a really good recovery, but regardless, yeah. So they talked to the guy on the phone and, he said, yeah. So it took him a couple days and we met and we had dinner and it was only for about an hour. And, so anyway, no, that was that and more on the trip for another time. But the thing I got into about the trip wasn't even intentional. The point about it was, as far as the trip thing with the cycling thing, the trips for another discussion. You can ask questions. A really, really amazing time out there, both the first leg and the adaptive leg. But you're out there, and as cyclists, we understand that, like, people say funny things. They, like you said, the Cadillac thing and all that. So you're out there, you're riding. I'm in like Wyoming, I'm in South Dakota, whatever. So I'm stopping at like bar restaurants every day to eat dinner. And I wouldn't drink in the middle of the ride, but I'll stop at a bar to have a meal. And, these people are always like, where are you? I show up, I got a kid on and roll in, and they're like, some guy, talk to him. I have this phrase, paps, like old time guys, whatever. That's why I said in the trip on the page, that's why you always talk to paps. I sit down, there's nobody in there. I sit next to this guy. Oh, how you doing? Oh, okay. Where'd you come from? Whatever. We're talking to him. So, 3 or 4 times in that trip, I got meals bought for me, not just because of doing the trip, but because the charity thing, it was key. And I knew that would help, and it did help, blah, blah, as especially the flight and all that. But I'm talking to these people. And again, the cyclist perspective was just what I was saying as far as the funniness of it. You get there, excuse me, and you're stopping at these places. And whether it's outside, Joe Schmo, or you're at a restaurant, Joe Schmo, and the guy's like, oh, so you're riding your bike, huh? Oh, okay, where are you heading? New Jersey. What are you talking about? How long is that going to take? Like all summer? I'm like, no, dude, I'll be there in 2 weeks. I've only been out for like 2 weeks. I'll be there in 2 weeks, because it was slated for a month. But that's all that was about. I didn't mean the tangent on the trip, but it's just funny. Like, people don't have any perspective. Just like, when they did the thing on the news, Mike Keller did a thing on WEEU. That's all on the ride page. A couple news interviews on the radio. This isn't my first rodeo. I've probably been, they did an article with a video at the hotel I stayed at in Sioux City, trying to get somebody from the area that would follow when driving the rental, and then for 2 weeks, and then I'd pay to fly him back. They couldn't get anybody, but my mom found somebody, and that all worked out. But yeah, so you would talk to most people, just like before I was doing the ride, and they were like, well, how long is this going to take you? And it's like, he's going to ride 100 miles each and every day. Like, oh, it's just amazing. And it's like, and then you got people like, Jesse's ridden 400 miles on the road in 24 hours, which is insane. I didn't get around. My biggest day was 160. I didn't get around to doing a double century. I had planned on it. Then I got hurt. But I mean, as far as, these Ram guys, insane. 8 days, Danny Chu, 370 something. He got won it twice. I think these guys are riding like 350, 370 a day. I can get my head around 2. I can maybe get my head around 250. How do you ride a bike 400 miles in 24 hours? You know, you should be looking at me saying, yeah, that's, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. So, you know, that's all there is to it. But, you know, these people have no concept of like what we do and stuff, because they turn 16, they have a clunker, piece of junk, 35-pound mountain bike. Here's the car keys, bike goes in the trash, done.
Yeah,
and
I hate to see
you know,
that. Yeah, I know.
And then people lose their fitness, they're overweight. Like Bloom is funny because Bloom is a place that you don't need a car. You can ride or walk everywhere. And, you know, guy lived here for many years that worked at the factory that I bought the house from, and he always drove, and it was a mile. Here's the thing about that mile. You think you're going to beat me in a car? You can maybe argue the efficiency, because you're not. It's flat. There's 2 traffic lights. I'm going to stop. I'm looking, and I'm going. Might not be legal. Never got caught. Or they didn't care, because if nobody's coming, nobody's coming. And yeah, we've all been there. Oh yeah, you know, you were supposed to stop at that light back there. Oh please, you're just there. Everybody is just jealous of what you're doing because you beat them. The ultimate example of that, I did it with Jesse. Manhattan rush hour, coming back from a crit. He was never in New York. It was like 7 years ago. I said, have you been to New York? He said, no. I said, well, if we're going, we're going to ride. And again, you think, well, rural area, like he might have, what's his skill set? I know quite a bit from ripping with the guys through Reading and stuff, but I was a little concerned. But he's a Cat 1. He races crits. Like, if you can race a bike, you can ride through New York. So we're just ripping through there. We're ripping through Manhattan rush hour. And those cabbies, all these people, everybody's out to get you. It's a you know, this, that. Guys are trying to door you on purpose. You know, nothing happened. So it's that premium rush, like that movie. But I mean, you know, it's just, you can't get around any more efficient in an urban area than on a bicycle. It's not possible. And, you know, anyway, it's just, like you said, no dissertation. It's just simply a shame that so many people have gotten away from that. And you see less people riding and stuff, not so much because of the traffic, but an element of, you know, laziness and the ongoing, by the way, pandemic, which will outlast.
Electric bikes might change that a little bit, so I can't come down on them.
I guess that's a positive side of electric bike.
Yeah, right. I think
less traffic. So,
and I know for
I won't belabor this.
People that have, but yeah, man, we've got to continue this. We've got to wrap it up now. We're running low on batteries, but man, let's do it again. Let's do it again soon. Yeah, just throw me a few like key points and topics. You know, you have a good audience. I'd like the trip thing is something that, I mean, probably best 18 days of my life, and then the worst one. But I mean, as far as the trip was just like really fun, and you know, anybody has stories to tell with this cross country stuff. Jesse does quite a bit himself, and you know, just really amazing to do. And then all the people that, like, you're just out there and you're just like a celebrity. You roll up to like some place to get lunch, like in Montana, there's like hundreds of people there. All these little kids want to come up and look at the bike, and I'm on warm showers. I'm staying with hosts. I get there, just like I'm greeted like, hey, you want a beer? Yeah, sure. How was the ride? Oh man. And you just like, it's like, man, just, you got to sit down and decompress for a few minutes after the day, because you're doing this stuff. And the best way to see the country is on a bike, and you're doing this stuff. And the riding around here, don't get me wrong, it's good. But come on, you've been around enough. You know that, like, you know, you're riding through like these places I did out west in these national parks. Like, you know, at least twice a year, I got to get on a plane, and I got to go out there and see stuff and explore in this park, that park, Rocky Mountain. You know, I went there when I was out the last time and blah, blah, blah. And there's just, you know, so much to see. You could say the West is the best. I think that's true. I like living here, but then I have a place to go when I want to check that stuff out. So anybody that's a cyclist should aspire to do a lot of riding out west. So I'm going to can it. Thanks again for the lighting products. They're a huge asset to continuing to live an adaptive, athletic lifestyle, and just independence, and just not, you know, anybody. Just, you got to have listen, at the end of the day, you got to have that.
Everybody should have this. Everybody should have this life. So it's not, It's very simple. You know, again, now here's the thing, real quick, $200, right? But
yeah,
time is important. We don't have a lot of time. Time is money. Life is short. You know, what's your time worth that, you know, it's going to take you, something breaks. It's going to take you an extra hour, and that's going to happen 50 times in your life, where you holding a flashlight is going to take you an extra hour to finish the project because you're only using one hand. If you got another guy to help you, you can make that argument. But then your battery's going dead. Stupid these kids all the time, right? Oh, here comes the cell phone light. Yeah, I use mine now and then. It's handy, but I mean,
still take
you know,
a hand.
I've used headlamps since I was in high school. I've always had one. I've gone through a couple of them and whatnot. Hopefully this lasts forever. But I mean, you know, everybody should have some type of hands-free light. And it's just all about, everybody wants to talk about time and efficiency, and you can do all this stuff on the cell phone, and all this efficient mindset, all this efficiency, this, that, the other thing. This is efficient. This is efficient. This is efficient. You're right. You're right. And you're right. But where's your headlamp?
Yeah.
Why are you holding a flashlight? So it just doesn't make sense. And you could, but some people you just can't reach, and they can't. They just don't want to get a headlamp. But yeah, no. Even if you have to buy this thing for $200, this thing will pay for itself if you're a handyman. In 2 years' time, this light will pay for itself, and it will. It will. That's a fact. Accounting degree. I can put it in a spreadsheet. I can prove it. So,
Nice.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. I'm gonna can it here. Really great to try this out. And
Yeah, let's chat again. And like I said, I'll call you, and we'll go over some topics, and we got a lot more to discuss, man. This is great.
Yeah. The next big one, that as far as the next big one that's on the list here is going to be that, getting hand controls on it, hopefully the end of next week. And the dog rides shotgun in the sidecar, of course. He likes doing it. I have a quick video I took riding around in the parking lot. I just stayed in first gear since I can't shift it. Once I get the hand controls, then he's going to be riding around with me. He's just over there. Oop. He's just, he's anxious. He's just over there chilling. He says, "What up?" Just hanging out, like his slightly photographic animal right there.
Truly.
So
more than slightly.
But he's going to be cruising around, you know, the gravel roads. That motorcycle, by the way, has 2-wheel drive, and it actually has drive to the secondary sidecar wheel. So that can go in a foot of snow, and it's basically an enduro bike with a sidecar, independent suspension on the sidecar. So he just sits in there, and you know, I'll be going around. A lot of back roads, gravel roads, some highway use, but not interstate. It only goes 65, but how fast you want to go with a dog in a sidecar? You know, that's so anyway. Now he's over. He's hearing me. Now he's hearing me talking about him, and he thinks that we're like,
going somewhere.
You know, hey,
all right,
he's ready. Like, what's up? What are we doing? So he's always ready for an adventure. Thanks a lot. Talk soon.
Thanks a lot, man. Peace out. Enjoyed talking to you. Let's do it again.
Take care.
I'll be in touch. You too.
And keep riding your bike. That's most important.
You got it.
Maintain that fitness.
Long live, long rides.
Copy that.
Peace out.
See ya.
See ya.